Here, have this.
I'm going to buy because it's a great price.
What is the Mehi Hasan, and Republican Congressman for Texas, Dan Crenshaw? Well, welcome to both of you. Been looking forward to you two locking horns in a Piers Morgan Uncensored debate, so thank you for both agreeing to this. Mehi, I mean, you've had 50 days of Donald Trump's presidency. How are you coping? How's your spleen?
I don't know. I haven't checked my spleen. It's not great. I think those of us who warned that Trump would be chaotic, Trump would be corrupt, Trump would be autocratic, I think even those of us who warned that for much of last year have been surprised by just how corrupt, chaotic and autocratic he's been. I don't know if we're going to talk about what happened in New York on Sunday. That was pretty shocking with the detention and disappearance of a lawful permanent resident.
Yeah, we will later,
all the attacks on the press that you and I have discussed. Before, the attacks on the press. This show is called Piers Uncensored. He's launched an open war on the media, on free speech, and of course the economy now. Again, I didn't predict that 2 months in, Trump himself would be refusing to rule out a recession. I knew he would harm the economy, but even Trump himself can't rule out a recession. So on multiple fronts, the economy, democracy, free press, it's pretty bad.
Dan, your response to that?
Well, if you're going to accuse somebody of corruption, you might want to give a little bit more detail, right? Or a war.
Oh, please, Mehi Hasan, tell me you've read up on anything. Give me more detail. Yes, please. More detail about what? Talk about the Eric Adams stuff. That in and of itself is, in my opinion, impeachment worthy. Just right there, if you could connect Trump to it. That was insane. I would say the crypto scam stuff and the connection of weaponizing the office of the presidency for personal enrichment, that's fucking insane, especially when you're like set to vest or your vestment periods are during your administration. That's fucking crazy. 1, 2, 3, would we say any foreign policy stuff? We could go Ukraine, Russia, and the failure to arrive at any peaceful resolution there while also throwing Zelensky under the bus, and the horrible inability to hold back Israel from doing anything, and the fact that Trump has given ultimatums to Hamas that haven't been followed through at all. Everybody sees him as a fucking joke. He managed to piss off the Israelis by sending an envoy down to go talk to Hamas. That was fucking retarded. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 4 things? We need a 5th thing. What would be a 5th thing? The illegality of DOGE, the fact that Elon isn't even listed as the administrator probably is a liability shield for him. The fact that Elon is starting fights with his other cabinet members. The fact that we had a cabinet meeting with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, a guy who's not even part of the cabinet, not even the official administrator of DOGE, talked more than any other cabinet member, every other cabinet member combined at that meeting. The Tesla fucking advertisement that we ran on the White House fucking lawn. While Trump is simultaneously truthing out that he thinks that people should be charged as terrorists if they boycott, and that boycotting should be illegal against fucking... I mean, like, what do you want to talk about?
On free speech, I mean, what does that mean? These are just words that actually do have legal meaning, but you don't have.
Oh, then he wants to get into the legality of it. What about suing CNN because Trump didn't like an edit of the interview? What about suing the Seltzer polling company because Trump thinks that the poll was rigged? What about all of the lawsuits that are being settled with Trump by the same people that are now friendly with his administration? Whether that's Elon Musk settling a $15 million suit on behalf of X, whether that was Mark Zuckerberg settling, I think, another $15 million suit on behalf of Facebook, whether that was NBC that was settling a suit for the, what did he even sue them for? I don't even remember what he sued NBC for. Oh, for the defamation claim because the guy said that he raped somebody, which he did, but because Trump said, well, he wasn't charged technically with rape, it was something else, and because it was a civil thing, that counts as defamation. What do you want to talk about? And this is just on like the past month and a half.
Any legal arguments, so I don't know what you mean by corruption. There's really no evidence of that. War on free speech, there's just no evidence of that. There was evidence of it from the last administration, that's for sure.
Please, Mehi, please. Please. I understand, sir. You only have one eye, but how could you be so fucking blind to what's right in front of your fucking face? Hello?
Sure. So look, this is Trump derangement syndrome all over again.
Yeah.
Now, if we didn't have 4 years to look at, where the Trump economy actually did quite well.
Hold on, sir. Correct him. Don't ever let Trump's people say that. 4 years? Sir, you mean 3 years at best, right? Why would you say 4 years? Why did you say 4 years, sir? Do you have memory issues? Is your brain leaking out. Maybe you need to tighten your eye patch up, sir. 4 years? You mean 3 years, right? Sorry, I'm done. Okay.
Trump tax cuts proved to be a boom to the economy.
Yeah. Deficit spending usually is. Welcome to Keynesian economics, motherfucker. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I need to finish this survey.
Even after a pandemic,
kill me.
Trump's policies were getting the economy right back on track so that when Biden took over, he was enjoying GDP growth as opposed to decline. Despite Democrats all over the country trying to shut down the economy and leftists all over the world trying to shut down the economies. So it's definitely overstated, the extent of these catastrophes by far. If you can say one thing about Donald Trump, he's going to make good on his campaign promises. So there should be no surprises here about how he thinks some trade practices are unfair. He uses tariffs as a negotiation tool to get better deals for the United States.
Dude, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's just copy pasted Twitter opinions. Like, it's just copy pasting all of what you hear. Like, these are supposed to be your best and brightest, your biggest representatives of your party. And it's just copy pasted opinions from social media. There's nothing going on behind this face. There's nothing there. It's insane.
Whether that's trade deals or whether that's things he wants other countries to do, like Mexico, for instance, getting the border and going after cartels, which they are doing. These things are working. So I think a lot of the sky is falling rhetoric is pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, Mehi, I'm surprised that you're surprised that Donald Trump is being Donald Trump, or that, as Dan just said, he's largely delivering on exactly what he told the American people he wanted to do. And he won the election very convincingly. So when you say he's being corrupt, what is the actual evidence of corruption?
So let me deal with a few things there, because Dan brought up a few things. And it's funny that Dan's saying words like corrupt have legal meaning. Of course, they don't. They also have a meaning that everyone understands. And he knows this because he and his party accused Joe Biden of corruption for years.
Hold
on. You had a long answer. No, I do mean corrupt. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because you and your party.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I just say something? Piers or your people in your studio, I don't think they actually watch me over there. But if you do, okay, the technology exists. All right. Wait, isn't Mehi in the United States? Oh, but Piers is over in London, I think. Even if he is, for some reason, the latency on these calls is like in the order of like 500 plus ms, or maybe it might even be a second or longer. That's why these people talk over each other sometimes. There's no reason for this. I don't know what the routing situation looks like in the studio or what, but you're not connecting via like sat phone, okay? Where you're trying to do interviews with soldiers on the ground in Iraq in the years like 2000 and fucking 2, okay? Like, Let's figure this out, okay? We don't need like seconds of fucking delay between these people speaking to each other. Yeah, sorry, it's not 500 milliseconds. I'm thinking video game bad latency, but this is like seconds of delay. It's fucking annoying. Stop.
Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because you and your party accused Joe Biden of many crimes which you couldn't find any evidence of. You accused all sorts of things about Hunter Biden and corruption, which pale into insignificance with what the Trump family's been doing on the crypto
DOJ
front.
Did.
Hey, dipshit. Did you lose an ear too? Can you listen to him? Can you let him finish a fucking sentence?
Piers
just showed an intro.
I can give you an example of
convicted criminal sitting in the president. You're going to start signing.
It's illegal.
Piers, can you moderate?
We like the DOJ.
Student loans.
Well, no, surely the point. Hang on, look, guys. If I could just say, hold on. If I could just say, hang on one second. Guys, I would simply
DOJ also brought. The DOJ also indicted Trump.
I would ask you both.
The DOJ also multiple.
Can I just ask, if you talk over each other, nobody can hear what either of you says, just to remind you.
Well, I didn't interrupt Dan.
No, but
I didn't interrupt Dan, but he interrupted me 3 times in my first sentence.
Okay, look, just allow each other to respond.
Because you acknowledged, because you pointed at me. You were asked a simple question. What are the legal charges of corruption against Donald Trump? Go.
I didn't.
What are the legal charges of corruption? Well, hold on. We've got however many felony charges in New York State that he was convicted on, by the way. That was an indictment presented and approved by a grand jury, presented to and approved by a grand jury, and it went to trial, and he was convicted. So at the very least, boom, okay, there's the 20, 30, 40 felony charges, whatever, right there he was convicted on in New York State. The other corruption charges, well, let's see. We had 2 big federal ones. We had the documents case in Mar-a-Lago, which he corruptly tossed by the way. And then we had the whole Jan 6 case by Jack Smith, which was also tossed, by the way. And I'm not sure where the RICO charges are at in Georgia, but there was that as well. So there's 3 different sets of charges, and then you've got one massive set of convictions. And that's just looking at stuff related to his conduct as president. If you want, we could also dive into the Trump University shit, the civil litigation case for the Eugene Carroll, any other case that he's lost in civil court. I mean, like, what do you mean?
Didn't say anything about legal charges. The person who
No, you should, though. But you should bring up legal charges because he's lost there as well in front of a jury. Okay, he's lost there as well.
Well, there are many legal charges against Donald Trump. He's using the DOJ to make them go away, as you know, in a corrupt fashion.
Yes.
Piers showed us a clip at the top of the show. I don't think an American president has ever done what Donald Trump did yesterday. His top donor gave him hundreds of millions of dollars during the election. The New York Times is reporting that he just gave another $100 million to Trump political operations. And the president went out on the south lawn of the White House and turned the White House into a car dealership so he could help his top donor sell cars. I mean, that is astonishing on multiple levels. I've criticized Republican presidents in the past. I can't think of a single Republican president who's done something that so corrupt and pathetic on Musk's behalf, by the way, but corrupt on Trump's behalf, to do that for a donor, to sell cars on the White House lawn, to put out tweets saying, I'm buying a Tesla. Yeah, for your top donor. If Joe Biden had done it, you would be screaming from the rooftops, as with your party, you'd be filing articles of impeachment. So give us a rest on the kind of patronizing stuff about exact language. Corruption is exactly at the core of this Trump White House. Look at the crypto money. The guy is running. The guy just, Dan, the guy just pardoned. The guy just pardoned a crypto guy who the DOJ was investigating, who's put money into the Trump family crypto scheme. We could go down the list of all the various corrupt things he's done. On free speech, by the way, he's called for multiple journalists to be fired. Presidents shouldn't be calling for columnists. Do you support him calling for Eugene Robinson to be fired?
Do you support him suing polling companies for not liking the polls? That's just...
Do you support him calling for MSNBC to lose its licenses because he doesn't like it? I mean, this is absurd. No president has gone around and attacked journalists in the way that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have attacked journalists.
Well, actually, the biggest attack
guy in your...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a one-on-one debate with Piers moderating, but Piers can't help himself. Piers and Mehi go at it, okay? These bongers, they bong against each other. They feed off the bongness of each other. And it's fun watching them go back and forth. But right now, don't be a shield for Crenshaw, okay?
Well, actually, before I go to Dan, hang on, Mehi, don't just keep talking. Before I go to Dan,
I'm going to finish my point.
The president...
I'm going to finish my point. Elon Musk called for CBS journalists to be locked up in prison. Does Dan Crenshaw support the locking up of my fellow journalists?
All right, I'm going to come to Dan. I'll come to Dan now.
I don't even remember Elon saying that, but political...
Oh, I don't remember. Oh, they all watch it. They know it. I've got you. I got the playbook for you guys, okay? If there's a thing that's indefensible, just say you haven't heard of it. That's boom. Easy. Just say you haven't heard of it. I've never heard of that. I didn't know anything about that one. That's it. You got it. It's the key. That's the key.
First of all,
well, he did say it. Whether you remember or not is irrelevant. He said it, Dan. I don't remember it. That's going to be your defense. He said it. Well, he's the head of your government right now. He's the top guy.
He's a person who has the same rights to free speech as you do. Okay?
And it's that one. It's the Tim Pool argument. Well, excuse me, sir. If he wants to sue people, and these are like retarded arguments, by the way, right? He doesn't believe this. Crenshaw doesn't believe this. There's a difference between a stupid person and an evil person. He knows. Because now what Mehi should write back was, okay, just real quick, then you admit the administration did absolutely nothing wrong with Twitter, right? All the Twitter files didn't show any direct pressure. You can argue maybe implied pressure, but the FBI can do that, right? The president can do that, right? You didn't do anything illegal, right? Were there any charges? Republicans had time to investigate that, right? Why was it? Nobody was charged with anything, correct? So that's all A-okay, right? Make him answer.
You support him calling for the locking up of journalists. I said there's a war on free speech. You said there wasn't. I cited a guy in your government who's called for the locking up of journalists. You wanted receipts. I asked
you for what you mean by corruption. You gave no legal arguments. So for you, corruption just means...
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Is Crenshaw a lawyer? No, legal. Oh, my God. There's so many legal arguments. Put me in a room with this guy, please. I'll get a much more badass eye patch, too. We'll work on our Solid Snake cosplay. What do you mean? You didn't give me a legal argument. You didn't give me a legal argument. Navy SEAL. So this guy's already equipped to do all the mental gymnastics that he was trained for.
exactly what every president does, right? Which is supporting their
Hold on.
their
I'll give you an argument right now.
Yes.
I think, yes, I would like a Department of Justice that stopped pardoning people who have given money to Donald Trump and his family.
No, don't do the pardon one, because he's going to hit you up with the Hunter Biden one, and you're going to cuck out, and you're going to say, oh, yeah, that was super corrupt. Don't do the pardon one. Don't do the pardon one. No. Wait.
American homeowners are at risk of a growing real estate scam, which the FBI calls house stealing. This is how it works. Criminals forge your signature on just one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee, and then file it with your local recorder's office. Just like that, your home title is transferred out of your name. Scammers can then take out loans using your equity as collateral, or even sell the property behind your back. You won't even know it's happening.
Where would you consider classical liberal on the survey? Don't fill that out. I'm redoing it real quick, so it's a little bit more.
Until you start getting collection or foreclosure notices. When was the last time you checked your home title? I own a home in the United States, and the answer for me is never until metal. I own a home or foreclosure notices. When was the last time you checked your home title? I own a home in the United States, and
Did you keep a misspeak in an ad read? Who would ever do that?
the answer for me is never until now. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get: immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud does happen, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and get access to your personal title expert, a $250 value just for signing up. Go to HometitleLock.com and use the promo code Piers, or just click on the link in the description. Make sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Piers, P-I-E-R-S, to get the protection and peace of mind that you deserve.
I think that's corrupt.
Would you like to stop? Well, would you like to stop Joe Biden also preemptively pardoning?
No, don't walk into that trap. There are so many better examples. You can argue it, you can fight it, you can, but it's a way more difficult fight. That's why I shouldn't have brought it up. Fuck, and Piers is the one that brought up the Hunter thing. God damn it. No, Mehi, no.
So many people, including half his own family,
I'm not
to
here to
prevent
defend
criminal
Joe Biden.
inquiries into them. I mean, this idea it's only Trump that would do that.
Dan Crenshaw's here to defend Donald Trump. You know, Piers, that I have many criticisms of Joe Biden, and one of them is, yes, his family and Hunter Biden. But what Joe Biden did pales into insignificance with what Trump has done in 2 months. I mean,
all right, well, let me ask Dan. Dan, on the
Musk role. Elon Musk is an unvetted head of a government department.
Okay, let me ask Dan. Dan, when you saw the scenes on the White House lawn there, did you feel entirely comfortable for the reasons that Mehi said? You've got someone who donated hundreds of billions of dollars, obviously, to Trump. He pretty much helped get him elected. He's now in there as an unelected guy with enormous power, it seems, over this DOGE thing that he's doing, popular with some, unpopular with others. But turning it in, as he said, to a Tesla sale room, did you feel comfortable that the White House was being used like that?
I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't feel uncomfortable with it. Look, first of all, let's say something. Every single person in the administration is unelected, and they have a great deal of power. The only person who's elected administration with it, look, first of all, let's say something. Every single person in the administration is unelected, and they have a great deal of power.
I mean, like, what, like what? This is how the American system works. Like, what is the alternative? Maybe he's just pointing it out, but like, people keep bringing this up. Should we vote on every single cabinet member? Should the American people vote on every single cabinet member? Should the American people vote on every single deputy cabinet member? Should the American people vote on every single bureaucrat, every single administrator? Like, it's just such an on its face, absurdly stupid fucking question.
The only person who's elected is President Trump. So everyone works.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. Why do you even watch me for political commentary? Because I make stupid comments like that. I'm sorry. There's a much simpler explanation. The whole Republican Party is bought into the unitary executive theory. That's what he's referring to. Trump is the only elected person, so everybody there is just serving Trump. That's it. My bad. That's what he means. My bad. Obviously, that's what he means. My bad.
For President Trump, I think there's a station is unelected, and they have a great deal of power. The only person who's elected is President Trump. So everyone works for President Trump.
There it is.
I think there's a really strange sort of villainization of Elon Musk. Oh, he has too much power. He has this. He has whatever power the president decides to give him.
That's just not how our government works. But I mean, like, I understand. Wait, what was his background? Crenshaw's never been in government, or like served in the military or anything, right? Hold on, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting, right? Oh no, wait, he is in Congress right now. Oh, wait, he was in the military and in the Navy SEALs. Oh, that's so crazy. That he has absolutely no idea how our government works. Huh, that's so weird. What a weird thing for him to say. So, I don't know if anybody even knows how any of the government works, because like an easy question from Piers or Crenshaw, or I'm sorry, from Piers or Hasan would be, okay, wait, the president can do whatever he wants in the executive branch. Can he unilaterally shut down a department? Or can he unilaterally open his own department? Can the president do that? Because the answer is no, he can't. So why would you say something that's just blatantly not true? That's just not.
I think there's a really strange sort of villainization of Elon Musk. Oh, he has too much power. He has this. He has whatever power the president decides to give him.
Like, no, that definitionally, that's just not how the United States government works. What you're describing there is a dictatorship, or no, it's just a dictatorship where an executive is able to give whatever power he wants to another person who's part of his executive branch. That's a dictatorship.
That's that. First of all, let's say that. Also, there's a long history and precedent for presidents bringing in their supporters to the White House. Joe Biden gives out medals of freedom or whatever those things are called.
Like, are you serious? That's your go-to comparison? Are medals of freedom to Elon Musk, who is unilaterally shuttering entire departments in the federal government? That's your go-to example? Like, this isn't even like a real thing. This guy's not even, like, I could probably pick random debaters out of my fucking Discord better than this. Like, they're not even trying anymore. It's a joke. They don't even have to try. They're not even trying.
To various celebrities who have helped him, to various big donors like the Soros family who have helped him.
Oh, make sure you hit all those talking points.
How is this any different? Now, you could argue you don't like it or do like it. But there's a ton of precedent for it. Every ambassador let's talk about the ambassador in the United Kingdom. It is every single time. It is not somebody who's been at State Department for a long time. It is always somebody of the president's choosing.
An ambassador is just a representative. Ambassadors don't have the ability to do foreign policy directives on their own. I mean, like, they work in conjunction with, I imagine for ambassadors, probably the State Department of State, right? But why are we comparing an ambassador to anything else that Trump is doing right now?
That's who it is. It is usually someone who is friendly with the president. Does that make it corrupt?
They don't
I don't
have
know.
the power
it's not legally corrupt, but that is what happens. It's normal for every president, and you just make it. You for some reason see it through a different lens when Trump does the exact same things that Biden would do.
And Mehdi, let me ask you
Exact
about
same
Elon Musk.
thing.
Biden having people at the White House.
Hold on,
by
can
the
I
way.
respond?
Well, Mehdi, yeah, but Mehdi, I would
Piers,
ask
can I
you
actually
this.
respond
But
here?
Mehdi,
You
do you
keep
have,
asking me,
intrinsically,
can I do it?
Mehdi, do you have a problem with Elon Musk and the DOGE campaign to eradicate federal government waste, superfluous spending?
All right.
Manny's going to own it. He's going to say, yes, we should do something about waste. But, like, bro, it's a bullshit-ass question. It's a bullshit-ass question. Like, yeah, I guess we should always do something about waste. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about closing whole parts of the government just because they don't like it. That's not waste, fraud, or abuse. What was the waste, fraud, or abuse? You should ask this question. I'm sorry. Okay, we've already basically closed USAID, right? We've already closed USAID. What was the waste, fraud, or abuse that USAID was engaged in? Just one example, because we've closed the whole fucking sub-department or whatever, right? We've closed that entire fucking thing. So certainly there must be a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse that we can speak of, right? So name a couple things. Just one or two things, right?
Did you have a problem intrinsically with the concept of what they're doing?
So this keeps happening now. Dan says something and then you add something, so I can't deal with multiple things. I'm going to deal with Dan first. Dan says that this is all normal and we have precedent for it. Dan's being disingenuous. Elon Musk is running a government department. He is not vetted. He has not gone through Senate confirmation hearings like cabinet officials and ambassadors. George Soros has never led any kind of government department. If he did, Republican heads would explode.
True.
He's never run
Yep.
anything in government.
Yep, that's true.
Nor is Alexander Soros. Musk is literally standing next to the president. He is telling cabinet secretaries what to do. He's attending cabinet meetings.
Destiny tries too hard to be pro-Democrat. It feels forced. Max Krakauer, can you give me a single opinion that I have you think I couldn't support 50 million different ways?
They're going to court. Dan's not telling you this, but there's literal court cases going on right now to determine the status of Elon Musk and DOGE. And by the way, government lawyers are telling the judges he's not the head of DOGE. Donald Trump stood in front of Congress and said he is the head of DOGE. Maybe Dan can tell us today if Elon Musk, who hasn't been vetted by Congress, is the head of DOGE. What's so sad to see is members of Congress like Dan just completely abdicating their responsibilities as a co-equal branch of government and deferring to both Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's kind of embarrassing to see.
Oh, a civics. Oh, we're going to get a civics lesson from the guy who doesn't know how the government works. Yes, a civics lesson, please. Gloomer, $20. It seems like a large issue with the administrative power in the executive branch. Is there a large instability in the organizational process? An incumbent has not had a member from their own party succeed since 1988. An incumbent has not had a member from their own party succeed. I don't know what that means.
And I haven't finished my point. I didn't interrupt you. So when I finish, you can come back in. I know it's 2 against 1, so let me deal with Piers now. Piers, on DOGE itself. Yes, I have a problem. Well, we are both throwing stuff at me at the same time, so let me deal with them. Yeah, poor me. It's fine. I'm used to it. Piers is asking me about DOGE. Let me deal with DOGE. DOGE is a joke of an outfit, right? Do we all want to get rid of waste in government? Of course I do. I did a long monologue on my show about why we should deal with the Pentagon, which fails an audit every year and wastes billions and trillions of dollars. Right? I want to deal with corporate welfare. I want to deal with people who, con the government. Of course we do. But that is not what DOGE is doing, right? DOGE is a joke, chaotic outfit. It claims to have found fraud, Piers, not just waste, fraud.
What fraud?
And yet Dan gave me a lecture on precise terms. Fraud? Has anyone been charged with fraud? That's a crime. Elon Musk has found no fraud.
True.
Because if he had found fraud, people would be arrested or charged by the DOJ right now. We've seen no evidence of fraud. So that's been a lie from Musk. As for waste, you know this, Piers. You've talked about it on the show. $8 billion they claimed to have found. It was $8 million. They said they found $250 million of waste at the Social Security Administration. It was $500,000. They triple counted a $665 million contract. The Wall Street Journal, that lefty bastion, has found so many mistakes and exaggerations in what...
He means there hasn't been 2 presidents from the same party succeed each other since Reagan and Bush. Oh, gotcha, okay.
They've been absolutely harming the US government. They got rid of people who were looking after nuclear weapons and then tried to hire them back. They got rid of people who were trying to fight Ebola and then tried to hire them back. They got rid of people who were trying to fight bird flu and then tried to hire them back. They fired veterans at the Department of Veterans Affairs who were manning the crisis line for veterans. Dan is a veteran, served the country, should be outraged. And then they tried to hire them back too. The whole thing is a disaster and a joke.
Okay, Dan.
I want to say one thing about the having automakers at the White House. In August of 2021, Joe Biden had a bunch of automakers celebrating electric vehicles at the White House.
Celebrating electric vehicles because of legislation that he had passed to drive green energy initiatives. None of these people were working in the White House, and none of these people were his personal friend that were donating arguably $44 billion worth, of social media stuff to his campaign. Not even remotely similar. Where are they getting these talking points from? They're all the same. They're all printed. There's so much bullshit.
He left out one in particular because he's not a political ally. He left out Tesla, one of the biggest makers of EVs. So again, this stuff happens. As far as what DOGE's role is, and then I want to get into what Congress's role is here. So the president has been very clear. Cabinet secretaries are the ones who actually fire. DOGE makes recommendations. That's how they have it set up. I realize that all of this is new, but it was what he ran on. It was what the American people wanted.
If that was true, then why were people literally being fired for stopping DOGE from entering departments? Why wasn't it the cabinet secretaries that were the ones, making this information available? Because, so for instance, what did we see a few days ago where I told you guys to, even though it looks bad, it's more legal. I don't remember if it was the Department of Education or another department, but it had said that they were making information available to DOGE. Now, we can hate DOGE, which we should. We can hate Trump, which we should. But that process was legal, as opposed to DOGE just going into these buildings and then with fucking USB sticks running up and down, sucking whatever information they wanted off the drives. That was a way different process. So they have changed it now to be more legal because Trump realizes he's probably been scolded by his legal team around him. It's like, hey, you're making this really hard to defend in the fucking courts, bro.
This is new, but it was what he ran on. It was what the American people wanted.
Oh, that bullshit talking point too. So if you run on what, giving every, like, what, can you run on illegal stuff and then have the authority to do legal stuff? It doesn't matter what you run on.
We are asking questions too, right? We also want to figure it out. It's good. The courts are another co-equal branch of government that will have their complaints about it. That let's let this process play out, and let us all agree on the fact that there is a huge amount of waste and bloat in a lot of our bureaucracies. We talk about firing a couple thousand VA employees. To put that into context, there's about 480,000 VA employees. 400, like, there's a lot. Okay, so we're talking about
very small amounts here. They're about to fire another 80,000. They're about to fire another 80,000.
We'll see. We'll see. Look,
Why make him defend it? Don't say we'll see, because we'll see is just a shortcut to after he does it. Okay, well, it's not a big deal. Defend it now, motherfucker. Make him defend it right now. Don't wait to see if it happens or not.
I've used the VA in multiple cities. There is a lot of bloat. There's a lot of people who would. There's a lot of people who work at the VA who would be happy to see half their coworkers fired because they know they don't do anything.
Seriously, after all, really? That's what we're going with now too?
There's a lot of people who work at the VA who would be happy to see half their coworkers fired because they know they don't do anything. I've heard that from VA employees. This isn't that crazy.
He heard it from VA employees. Oh, fuck. We could cut 240,000 then. What do you say? There were 480? We could cut half of it.
An idea. The sky is not falling. And then again, the secretaries still have the power. President Trump made that very clear just last week. So, like, we can all take a step back, realize that this is what he ran on. This is what the American people wanted. This notion of DOGE and government efficiency is indeed still popular with the American people. There are going to be problems associated with going this fast.
Okay.
And you're going to have to fix those problems. That's okay.
Can I respond?
Well, quickly, because I want to turn to other subjects. But quickly.
Yeah, quickly, because this is just supposed to be for me and Crenshaw to talk about how cool Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
Okay, so on DOGE, very quickly then, on the DOGE issues, I heard Dan say this before, that Elon Musk is not firing people, cabinet secretaries are. Well, that's news to cabinet secretaries, because Sean Duffy at a recent cabinet blow-up called out Musk for trying to get rid of his air traffic controllers, and they had a row about it. So the transport secretary thinks Elon Musk is coming after his vital staff. Sean Duffy at a recent cabinet blow-up called out Musk for trying to get rid of his air traffic controllers, and they had a row about it. So the transport secretary thinks Elon Musk is coming after his vital staff. As they should.
They should be fighting about Elon Musk doing illegal stuff that you just said that he wasn't doing, because you just said he wasn't doing it, right? I really don't like this weird, this perverted and queer bastardization of checks and balances and separation of powers. Like, you're meant to break the rules over and over and over again, and then we just see how, like, the corrective process works. Like, it's so stupid. This guy was in the Navy SEALs. If you had a friend point a gun at you and pull the trigger over and over again, you're like, bro, what are you doing? It's like, oh, no, it's okay, bro. He's got the safety on. Like, that's not how that works. Like, in no other world, I don't know why I'm explaining this. In no other world would you ever accept this answer for anything, right? Like, sir, your son got in a huge car accident last night. Yeah. And? What do you mean, and? Are you mad? What do you want us to do or whatever? Like, oh, it's okay. He has airbags for a reason, right? Yeah, that's what they're there for. It's cool. He got in a car crash. I'll buy him another car with even bigger airbags. Like, okay.
Well, they're not. They're the ones who are feeling pressure from Musk. Everyone's having to bow the knee to Musk. It's funny. I wrote down this headline from CNN from last week. Republicans push Musk to let Congress vote on DOGE cuts. It's embarrassing to see Dan's party having to go cap in hand. Please, Mr. Billionaire, who's not elected to anything, please let us vote on your agenda. As for DOGE being popular, the poll out today. As for the poll, hold on, you had your piece. Let me answer because Piers is rushing me on. The poll out today from CNN shows that the DOGE, Musk is super unpopular. He's more unpopular than Trump. He's more unpopular than Vance. This is not a popular agenda. And this is not what people voted for. People did not vote for the annexation of Canada. He didn't mention Canada on the election campaign trail. And they did not vote for cuts to Social Security and Medicare, which Musk on Fox Business said this week, that's the next big thing to eliminate. We're going to cut 600, 700 billion from Medicare and Social Security. No one voted for that. It will be a disaster for the Republicans if they let Musk do that.
I mean, the thing I would say, Dan, that would be slightly concerning me if I'm Donald Trump is that the poll approval numbers for what's going on with DOGE are falling quite quickly and significantly.
Good.
And, you know, Trump, he loves his polls. His own approval is taking a hit as well. At some stage, if those numbers continue to fall...
He's the most unpopular president for 70 years.
Well, if those numbers continue to fall, then Trump at some stage is going to stop it, isn't he?
Yeah, he very well might. And this is the only point I wanted to jump in and make about Congress's role in this.
Nice. Don't respond to any of that, and then just go to the next thing of bullshit you want to talk about. Go.
You berate me as if I'm DOGE spokesperson or Trump.
You literally are, though. All of you guys have elected to be spokespeople and defenders of fucking Trump because you're fucking spineless. You are absolutely fucking spineless.
Spokesperson. I don't have all the details. I'm a member of Congress, so quick civics lesson.
Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you, Mehdi.
Equal branch of government. We make laws. We write laws. We send them to the president's desk for him to sign and then implement those laws. There is only one person who is in charge of the executive branch, and that is the president. You know what DOGE doesn't do? You know what they can't do? They can't look at my employees. They can't look at anybody in the legislative branch's employees, and they're not.
You know what else they can't do, Captain Civics? They can't close. You know what the president can't even do? He can't just shut down parts of the executive branch that have been authorized and then funded by Congress. You know that he's not allowed to do that, right? Can somebody ask him that basic civics question? Mehdi or Piers, please. Can somebody ask him, hey, do you think the president can shut down departments in the executive branch on his own? Do you think he's allowed to do that? Branches that have been authorized by Congress?
Because they can't. They can look
But
at
they can shut down. Hold on, they can shut down government departments that Congress created. Are you okay?
Oh, thank you, Mehdi. Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, our first real civics question for Dan Crenshaw. How does Dan answer this? You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you.
They can shut down. Hold on, they can shut down government departments that Congress created. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that, Congressman?
How does he answer that? Because his unitary executive bullshit theory that all the Republicans, I guess, are now bought into would say yes, but obviously you can't do that. It is illegal. How is he going to answer this question? I'm so curious.
Down government departments that Congress created. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that, Congressman? They want to shut, for example, Trump and Musk want to shut down the Department of Education.
Oh, he can't even acknowledge it. Oh, they're not shutting him down, though. What about USAID? Ask him that. That's the follow-up, Mehdi. Okay, so then you agree that if USAID was shut down, that would be illegal, right? The president can't do that.
That's Congress. They want to shut down the Department of Education.
No, don't do it. No, go to USAID. There's already one that's been shuttered. Don't do Department of Education. That's a different one.
Winding it down.
Right. Well, they can change a lot within the Department of Education.
No, you can't. I don't think you're even authorized to do reduction of force in a lot of these departments. I don't know if you can or can't in the Department of Education, but go to USAID. It's a much stronger example.
Education. You know, legally, can they shut it down? That's been tried before. It doesn't work.
Legal
of education. You know, legally, can they shut it down? That's been
legal leak. What's he saying there? Sorry, can somebody translate?
They want to shut down the Department of Education. They are winding it down.
Legally. Oh.
Right. Well, they can change a lot within the Department of Education. You know, legally, can they shut it down? That's been tried before. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Like, everybody can calm down. And if we want to talk about Department of Education,
everybody can calm down. Are you okay, little bro?
Like, what is the Department of Education? It has about 6,000 or 4,000 employees. It's really just a pass-through for grants and student loans.
Doesn't matter. If it's authorized by Congress and it's there by Congress, only Congress can shut it down.
You know, one of the reasons conservatives talk about the Department of Education and wanting to shut it down over time is because it really has nothing to do with education. It's just
also, okay, so at least you're admitting then this has nothing to do with waste, fraud, and abuse, right? If you want to shut it down so badly, then deauthorize it. You've got the majority in the House and the Senate, then fucking do it, you lazy fucking pieces of shit. Do your fucking job, okay? You actual human fucking leech. You leached my fucking tax money when you were jerking off in the fucking Navy SEALs, and now you're leeching my tax money as a congressman who won't do his fucking job. Pass some legislation destroying the Department of Education if you don't like it, and stop relying on Daddy Trump to do all of it for you.
It's a pass-through for grants and loans, which could
but the point, it was created by Congress, as was USAID.
Yes.
Well, Musk proudly said he fed USAID into the wood chipper.
The USAID, the offices are literally fucking closed. What do you mean? The fucking judges are trying to barely keep it alive with temporary restraining orders. Like
that was a congressionally
it's inaccurate.
Oh, come on.
Okay,
Musk himself said I fed it into a wood chipper. They cancelled aid overnight. By the way, when you say the sky is not, well, I'll give you a humanitarian lesson, Dan. Children are dying now from polio and malnutrition and malaria because USAID cut off aid overnight. No one voted for that. Right. And when you tell me the sky is not falling in, that is actually not true. Kids are literally suffering as we speak in Uganda and Ukraine and Sudan.
Let me explain. So
I don't know what you're talking about when you say sky.
Ooh, Mehdi, I'm so sorry, but you're talking to an audience of mostly white people. We don't care about those African countries, okay? Don't bring them up, all right? You got to be you got to stand tall on legal issues and domestic issues, okay?
not falling in. It's the height of cruelty what your administration and your party has done to children in war zones and conflict zones across the world. What was done to USAID was disgusting.
Okay. So first of all, when Congress authorizes USAID and appropriates for it, there is a top-line appropriation. It is always up to the administration to designate programs within that. We do not write in the whatever program for whatever X country. We do not write that into the legislation or appropriation. And
Oh, you're right. It is a top line appropriation. So what did they replace all the cut programs with? That's the next question. Super easy, because Crenshaw's technically correct here. Okay, cool. So all of those programs you guys canceled, which was enough to shutter the agency, we literally have video, okay, of little DOGE dick sucks taping over the fucking sign. Okay, so what did you spend that money on instead in the USAID branch?
And when you go through some of these programs that the Biden administration had, you know, $70,000 for some transgender opera in Colombia.
That's not waste, predator, abuse.
There is room for some skepticism about what USAID is doing. Like it's a silly example.
How about the Gaza condoms that Trump and Musk lied about? Have they apologized for that lie? How about the Gaza condoms?
Some of these.
Your administration lied about Gaza condoms. Trump has not apologized for lying.
I'm not part of the administration. How many civics lessons do you need?
He's your president.
I'm not part of the administration.
Nice try, Dan. You're part of the Republican Party.
I want to change.
Plenty of space for the administration to go through line by line.
Don't talk over each other,
They
please.
haven't gutted anything.
Let me change topic. Let me change topic.
You're a Trump supporter.
I want to change topic
You're
to.
a Republican congressman.
I want to change topic to Ukraine.
I'm aware.
Let's just play a clip here and then discuss this afterwards about Ukraine.
Ceasefire. Ukraine. Ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow. And hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed.
So, Mehdi, here's another example, I would say, of where the Trump hysteria doesn't really help anything. Because after the Oval Office bust-up, which for about 45 minutes was perfectly reasonable discussion in front of the media, then it all kicked off. And that was unfortunate. It should have happened behind the scenes. But in the general scheme of trying to bring a war to an end, I didn't get as upset about it as everybody seemed to. And I said and predicted then, I think you'll find that Zelensky's back in the White House pretty quickly, and this is all part of Trump's plan to try and force a peace deal, which it clearly seems to be. The onus is now on Russia. But do you accept that what we saw in the Oval Office and all the reaction that came out of it, you know, this is terrible, it's this, and this, but actually in the cold light of what we've now seen unfurl since then was premature.
Okay, so you know.
No, I don't agree, and it's interesting you use the word unfortunate, because I've told you this before in the past when you say you're not a conservative, you're not on the right. You use language that always minimizes what the right does. If Joe Biden had done it, if Kamala Harris had done it, you'd have been up in arms.
Thank you. The minimizing language, yes. The minimizing language, yeah.
I did.
How old are you?
When Trump sued that pollster, you know, it was an oopsie.
Real quick, before we hop into our debate here,
When Biden
Blair, thank you so much for
I don't even know what they accused. I don't even know what actions they point to.
Let's get 1,000
for freedom of speech. I guess when the FBI talked to Twitter, but
felt like I haven't
that was under Trump's administration, so I don't even know how Biden gets blamed for that. Like,
everybody, thought you for Blair for at least 10 minutes.
It was a joke. You know it was a joke. The entire world watched that in shock. No president has ever behaved towards an allied leader in public like that, maybe in private. We know what our European allies thought of it. They thought it was a disaster. They didn't think it was just unfortunate. And look, if your argument is bring him to the table, there are other ways to bring him to the table.
yes, because they're our friend, right? Ukraine is our friend. We can do that. We don't have to bully them.
I'm someone who supported a ceasefire in Ukraine for a while. In fact, a year ago, 2 years ago, if we had this conversation, I would have probably been the most dovish anti-war voice out of the three of us. Both of you would have been much more pro-Ukraine and hawkish against Russia than me. My problem is, while I want a ceasefire and a negotiated settlement, and I've said that since the beginning, even when I was doing my MSNBC show, I wanted it done by neutral mediators who have the best interests in peace. Donald Trump doesn't care about peace. He cares about...
When Biden gave a normal speech in front of red lights. Also, remember, just because I'm seeing people say it, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not.
Are you saying we should stop being allies with Canada?
I'm not saying that.
The background, that was a close-up. The background was it was red. It was supposed to be red, white, and blue.
I think that they should give
Like,
some value.
they like to
When
do
you-
this
when you
close
say,
up
like,
here.
they're
but
gonna
the,
give us money for protection. You know, you kind of sound like a
We give
like-
them money for protection.
And I guess optically it was
that sounds like what the
maybe
mafia
they
does.
should have seen this ahead of time.
Okay.
That they should have had the
You
red here or
threaten
whatever.
People if they don't give you money for
Oh, they hold that
protecting
close
them.
up for this entire
Well,
shot.
it's
here.
already
Damn.
worked with, I already forgot what country it was, but I know he threatened them with terrorists, and maybe a day later they fessed
You can
up.
see it in
Bro, you
the
play college football.
With
You're
what?
not 18. He's not 18. Wait, you
thumbnail.
play high school football. I'm sorry. Get out of here. Child. Fetus.
Biden shocks
Yeah,
viewers with
beat it.
hellish
Get a
red
zygote on
background
the
for polarized.
line.
Even fucking Lex Frodman brought this up to me.
Yeah, I was you know, if I was his age, I'd probably be saying the same shit. Fun fact, I was.
But it was supposed to be like they were supposed to going with red and blue,
when I was
but
13. Helena, thank you so much for the $25
Jesus,
donation.
this lived
over
rent-free in their
on
minds
Venmo.
for
Thank you for the love,
years.
Helena. Helena said,
He wants to
"Thank
win a
you for
Nobel
bringing
Peace
much
Prize.
needed
It bothers him that
awareness
Barack
and knowledge
Obama
to
got one.
people."
He loved the fake ceasefire in Israel. He doesn't mind if he gets a fake ceasefire in Ukraine. My problem is the negotiator shouldn't be an American president who is so blatantly and viciously in the Russian camp. Piers, you cannot deny that he is not a neutral mediator. He only berates one side, not the other. He pushes Russian lies, right? If I had said the stuff he said a year ago, you and Dan Crenshaw would be attacking me as a Putin stooge. He said Zelensky's a dictator. Lied about that. Then he lied and said he didn't say Zelensky was a dictator. He said Zelensky had a 4% approval rating. That was another lie. He lied and said Ukraine started the war, an outrageous lie. Russia started the war with an illegal invasion. He lied about how much money America has given Ukraine compared to Europe. He's lied and lied and lied, and that is my problem. And my biggest problem, and Piers, surely you agree with me, is can Russia be trusted to maintain the ceasefire? I'm glad the ball's in Russia's court, but don't forget what caused that blow up in the White House. Zelensky, not rudely, but firmly asked J.D. Vance, how do you know Russia's going to keep the ceasefire? 25 times Russia has violated previous ceasefires. Vance couldn't answer the question, so instead he personally berated and insulted and verbally abused the president of Ukraine. That's what it comes down to now. Can Russia be guaranteed to hold a ceasefire? And can Trump ever hold Russia accountable? The one leader in the world he'll never, ever criticize.
All right, Dan, a lot to unpack there, but I think what I thought about this is that Trump's minerals plan seemed to be quite a smart part of this equation to peace, because it would calm down all those on the MAGA side who are outraged about the spending that's been going on in supporting Ukraine, who do not see the point of America doing this, who want America first and leave these foreign wars alone and so on. If you can have a deal based around accessing minerals that America can then use, and you can make it look like a transactional business relationship that costs Americans nothing, that's a better sell for Trump just politically with his base. I got it. I also think that Trump had a point. I'm interested in what you think as a military man, though, that whilst I accept what Mehi says, that it is all about security guarantees, and that Zelensky's biggest fear might be actually what happens when Trump's no longer in office, that Putin might not try anything on his watch, but he might wait and bide his time and do it then, which he did, of course, with Biden when he invaded Ukraine. I'm just curious what you think about the idea that Trump had, which is if you've got American contractors all over Ukraine digging up minerals and they're there in big numbers and there's a business relationship there, is that enough of a deterrent to Putin to then attack more of Ukraine, because he would effectively be attacking areas that have a lot of American people on the ground?
Like, Russia's capable of doing targeted strikes. And if you're going to be so strong on this point, if you're going to say, well, we'll have people on the ground, so it's basically like a peace deal, or it's basically like a security guarantee anyway, then why not just give the security guarantee?
Thank you so much, Steve, though. Always appreciate it. And Nemo,
Yeah, I mean, look, the minerals deal in particular is a good idea for two reasons. One, it's a political backstop for President Trump, as you mentioned. Second, there's now an economic entanglement between the U.S. and Ukraine, which is an implicit security guarantee. Ukrainians agreed with this, by the way.
Oh, because we didn't have any economic entanglements with Ukraine before. We didn't do any trade. We just had no relationship. We didn't even know where they existed. We didn't know they were on the map. We just no phone numbers, no way to call them. They were just
way. It was frustrating, and you look at what Rubio really put it well when he explained on maybe CBS or whatever interview it was, why the frustration with Zelensky. He had agreed. We were in Munich. We were in Munich at this Munich security conference. So I met with Zelensky at that time. He seemed to have no problems with the mineral agreement. Seemed to think it was a good idea. Rubio had convinced him earlier, maybe that day or the day before. And then he would go out talking about how he's not agreeing with it. So there was a frustration within the administration.
Yo, Steve, $20
The White House blow up. I mean, I watched it myself as well, and my take from it was, this is not the time to be litigating.
Yeah, we know, bro. We know you're just gonna say the exact same thing everyone else has said a million times. Zelensky, if you've got a problem, bro, don't have this debate in public in front of the whole American people. Trump is just trying to make everybody look nice and happy here. Go have this debate. Why are you trying to iron out the details of a private deal in public? This isn't correct. This isn't the art of the deal.
And my take from it was, this is not the time to be litigating past histories about Putin, whether you're right or not. This isn't the moment for it. It's time to have lunch, sign a deal, and get on our way to a peace deal. And so Mehi's complaints seem to be purely stylistic.
Honestly,
you don't like Trump's style?
You don't think the style
Hasan Parker
of the leader of your country matters at all? Like, where are these weird points?
Piker, my bad.
I'm about to stereotype so hard, but like Crenshaw seems like the kind of guy who, if his, I don't know if he's got children, like if his daughter showed up for prom and there was some guy to pick her up and he was wearing like a dirty t-shirt and fucking sweatpants, Crenshaw seems like the kind of guy who gets super ass made about it. He couldn't dress up for your prom. Guy couldn't rent a fucking suit. What's wrong with this guy? Why does he look like a fucking bum? Like, you don't think style, or you don't think the presentation of your lead representative to the world, which is who the U.S. president is, more so than other leaders in countries, because we elect him directly. The United States people elect our president to represent us. You don't think that matters?
They should be white supremacists.
Style and how he got people to the table. But how else would you do it? I mean, if you agree with the premise of a ceasefire, like you do have to engage in uncomfortable flattery with the Russians. That is something Trump knows. It is something. It is how you wrangle them. And look, Zelensky has been pandered to.
This is also another thing. Just please, somebody, please, Mehi, please. Okay, Mehi, I know we're connected right now in our brains. Because every time I've asked him to do something, he does it later on in this interview, okay? Mehi, can you ask him, can you name one thing that Donald Trump has gotten using these negotiation tactics for America? Just one thing, because I'm just curious, because you keep saying this is how he negotiates, this is how he does things. What's something he's gotten for us doing this?
By Europeans,
please,
by us for a while. Now look, I think everything happened as it should happen along the timelines. I think we needed to probably do a lot more than Biden did, quicker and faster aid to defend Ukraine in the beginning. 3 years later, Trump is right. It is time to actually start talking. And regardless of whether those talks have worked in the past,
but then you talk about Zelensky wearing a suit, and destiny goes the other way. Zelensky wearing the uniform that he's wearing communicates exactly the message that he should be communicating, which has been consistent with other leaders, by the way, in history showing up at the White House. Zelensky is communicating that he is the president of a country at war, which is fine. The clothing style and his presentation publicly is appropriate for that.
Yeah, no, I have my critiques.
I'm not saying that every single person should just wear a suit at every single moment in life. It's like saying, like, oh, Destiny thinks that a person should dress well going to court, but he didn't give a fuck about this guy who showed up to his roofing job yesterday wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So where's the consistency, Destiny?
All right, why did you vote for Donald?
Hello?
Again, that was J.D. Vance's point in the White House. Why are we litigating that? Let's talk about present and future. And that's a very American way of thinking, but it works. And it's not a very Eastern European asked. Again, that was J.D. Vance's point in the White House. Why are we litigating that? Let's talk about present and future. And that's a very American way of thinking, but it works. And it's
yeah, go for it if you want.
What's a very American way of thinking? That we negotiate deals privately? What?
Not a very Eastern European way of thinking, right? They think in terms of the 1,000 years of history preceding them. This is the problem in the Middle East as well.
$100 on PayPal. Thank you so much.
What?
Holy shit! They said please continue to do what you do in such a clear and firm way while being respectful from a democratic.
It's like bad racism. It doesn't even make sense. What kind of fucking retarded? Nobody is talking about 1,000 years of history, you retarded fuck. They're talking about 5 years of history, or 10, I guess, if we go back to the Crimean takeover. What are you talking about?
You know, someone is inconsistent with their logic.
And even his fucking Israeli dick suck point here doesn't make sense. 1,000 years history, that's the problem in the Middle East as well. Israel hasn't been there for 1,000 years, you fucking retard. What are you talking about?
No,
They're thinking, right? They think in terms of the 1,000 years of history preceding them. This is the problem in the Middle East as well. Like, this is just, there's a cultural mismatch there, and I think that's what you actually saw unfold in the White House.
On your
holy shit! There are people in Western Europe right now watching Crenshaw who are like, damn.
Okay, so
we all hate Eastern Europeans as well, but holy shit, Dan, you're like hitting that right on the nose there. They're jealous. I didn't even know I could shit on fucking Polacks and fucking Eastern Europeans and the Slavs. I didn't know I could be this race against them. This is okay? Did they do this in America? I thought we were supposed to be the ones with the anti-European specific racisms. Holy shit, Crenshaw has learned.
This is just, there's a cultural mismatch there, and I think that's what you actually saw unfold in the White House.
Also, on your point,
what
Dan,
we have is, we seem to agree.
I like how when Piers comes in, he wants to like add and bolster Dan's points, but when he's talking after Mehi talks, he wants to attack Medi's points. Was Piers really about to add on to that?
On the outcome here, we seem to all like the outcome.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I would say, on your point about how to deal with Putin, well, Mehi,
we don't know what the
No, shut up. Hold on, Mehi.
And then also
It's my turn.
25.
Crенshaw's going to take the balls. I'm going to take the shaft now, okay? Shut the fuck up. We're busy over here, okay?
Like, this is just, there's a different, the 1,000 years of history about present and future past. Again, not talking.
I appreciate
3
you
years.
for the idea, as well as the $20.
I'm sorry, this is so
Nicola,
wild.
And thank you for the $20 donation over on PayPal. Saying thank you for doing what you do. I appreciate you for your kindness and the kind message, and thank you for the $20. At least 200 W's for Nicola. That is Nicola. Then Caitlin with the $10, Greta with a 5, and Zara with a 5. Not to mention Lily with a 2. Guys,
Years later, we're to agree on the outcome here. We seem to all like the outcome.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I would say, on your point about how to deal with Putin, Mehi, hang on.
We don't know what the outcome is. We don't know what the outcome is.
No, okay, but we all agree that
As of today, we seem to like it, right? I mean,
There is no outcome. What do you mean? As of today, there is no peace agreement. So I would say as of today, we don't like the outcome. There is no positive outcome right now.
the idea that Ukraine has signed up to a ceasefire, which is a way further.
Oh, that's where we're at today. The ball is in Putin's court. That's where we're at today?
Yeah.
Where the fuck do you think we've been for the past 10 fucking years?
Forward than they were in the Oval Office when they didn't want to even speak
Hold on,
to
the bloc. Hold on, come on, guys. This is crazy that I'm having to be the kind of pro-Ukraine against the seemingly pro-Russia voices. The bloc on a ceasefire. Are you saying that was Ukraine?
Yeah, are you saying it was Ukraine that was blocking the ceasefire? He is going to say yes, though. Oh, no. Mehi, he's just going to say yes. He's going to say yes.
The $50 YouTube super
Oh.
Ukraine for the last 3 years that's been the only bloc on a ceasefire? Come on.
No, I said Ukraine agreed to a ceasefire.
Ukraine insisted not to do it.
Why are you twisting our words?
Oh, our words? Wait, hold on, Piers. I thought this was a one-on-one debate with you. What do you mean our words? Are you with Crenshaw here?
The idea that
nobody said
because
that.
you're saying that we're in a ceasefire position. Can I finish a sentence? You're saying that Zelensky went to the table because Trump bullied him in public. And by the way, I'm loving this from you two, that this language we're using today to coddle Trump. He's not even here, and you're both so worried about his feelings. Trump.
Yes, to coddle and to cup and to stroke. Yes. Good job, Mehi.
What do y'all think Hunter
Piers
Biden's
talking
doing
about
right now?
unfortunate. Dan said stylistic. Come on. I have a memory of longer than a goldfish. Barack Obama talked about a reset with Russia. Your party, Dan, went nuts.
True. They did. They lost their fucking minds.
Them a stooge of Russia.
Mehi, if I may.
Hold on. No, I just finished my sentence.
I need to be able to actually put a question to you.
Yeah, can Mehi speak at all? Hello?
This one. I haven't spoken about Russia for the last 5 minutes. You both have been speaking. Can I finish one point? Let me just make one point.
I'm sorry.
It's not stylistic. It is Trump being objectively pro-Russia, pushing Russian talking points.
Yep.
And if a Democrat did it, Dan Crenshaw and you, Piers Morgan, would be all over them and not
A
say it's
Democrat
stylistic.
literally
I'm done
did
with my
it
point.
because Bill Clinton,
Bill Clinton? You know that, like, time matters. Also, I like how Crenshaw was here. He's like, oh, the problem with Eastern Europeans and with and people in the Middle East is they only think in the past because they're fucking retarded. Apparently, they're not human like us. Okay, all right, that's fine. Sorry, what did you want to say? So, when Bill Clinton,
the clip out that went viral last week of me interviewing Bill Clinton in 2012. And it went viral for a reason, because he was talking about how he dealt with Vladimir Putin when they were both world leaders. And he said, what you have to do with Putin, you don't criticize him in public. He said, but behind the scenes, you have very tough conversations. And interestingly, he said...
So then why did Obama get so much...
Hang on, let me finish.
Why did Obama
Stop
get so much shit
interrupting me.
Also, 2012? I'm sorry, but Clinton was out of office for over a decade at this point. What the fuck are we talking about right now?
Mehdi, you said you hate interruptions. You're a bloody
interrupted
master
me?
at it.
Mehdi, you gotta...
Stop interrupting.
You interrupted
Practice
me
what
earlier.
you preach.
You interrupted me earlier.
Practice what you preach.
Well, it's 2 against 1.
Can I
but that's
finish,
fine.
please,
I'll
Mehdi?
keep- I'll wait.
Thank you. And he
Please,
simply
your turn.
said, that behind the scenes they had very tough conversations. And I said to him, could you trust Putin if he gave you his word on something? He went, absolutely. He never went back on his word, which I thought was interesting. And I've heard that from other leaders. of what Putin says in public and what happens in public is one thing. What happens behind the scenes with him is another. We don't know what conversations Trump has had with Putin behind the scenes, but we do know he's following the same playbook in public.
Because he tore them up.
He's following the same playbook in public.
he tore up the
If you
notes.
may not interrupt me, please. We do know he's following the same playbook as Bill Clinton advocated in that clip. And
Like, there's also, I don't even like history. I don't. I need to go back to saying history sucks, because it does suck. And it's a waste of fucking time, because nobody gives a fuck about it at all, okay? You understand that you can't just pull thoughts and opinions from leaders 30 years in differences in time and say, well, this is the same thing, right? Like, I notice this a lot with Israel-Palestine. People will be like, well, you know, can you blame the Palestinians for being mad in a 1948 or whatever, when you look at what was happening in this quote, and the quote will be from like 30 years earlier or 20 years later. It's like, bro, you know that like a lot of stuff is happening in this time frame, right? Why the fuck would you quote a leader about what they thought about Putin in the 8 years immediately following the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? Where the entire world was like a little bit sketched out, because nobody knew if the collapse of the Soviet Union was going to mean like insane turmoil all across Eurasia and Eastern Europe. Nobody knew what that was going to look like exactly. The collapse of the Soviet Union was like relatively peaceful. Okay, rest in peace, Chechens and everybody else who got caught up in horrible warfare afterwards. But for the most part, considering what it could have looked like, it was relatively okay. And the United States in the fall of the Soviet Union was probably trying to tread fairly carefully and not look like, oh, well, a unipolar world. One of the fears of a unipolar world, where the United States was the only power that existed, was that the U.S. would just start taking over fucking everything, right? That was a big fear. It's probably the reason why we didn't kick Saddam Hussein out in 91 after the first Gulf War. Like, oh, wow, the Soviet Union falls. Now the U.S. is in Iraq, and they're doing regime change. Well, this is the new world, I guess, without the Soviet Union. This is what the U.S. is going to do. So the idea that you would rip quotes from Bill Clinton, okay, who's the president in the 20th century, and then try to pretend that that's equivalent at all to a post-Russian invasion, to a post-Georgian invasion, Russian invasion of Georgia, Russia, to a post-Crimean takeover, to a post-Ukrainian full invasion. Like, it's just such an unbelievable, it's like a mind-numbingly stupid thing. Like, Piers, do you piss your pants? And he's like, well, no, of course not. That's really crazy, because I have a quote from your mom saying that you do piss your pants. Let me read you this quote from your mom in 1964 saying, yeah, little Pierie, he pisses his pants. Like, well, hold on. That was a long time. Oh, so time changes things? Like, it's just such an unbelievably stupid.
He was a Democrat president last time I checked. So there is a strategy they have for dealing with Putin, which may be more effective than simply doing what you'd like everyone to do, which is call Putin a monster. I'm happy to. I think he is a despicable tyrant. He's a dictator.
I'm pretty sure you've called him a monster more than I have, Piers, for the last 4 years.
Stop interrupting, please. I think he's an awful dictator.
Well, you're giving a speech now, Piers. I thought we were doing a debate here. You're now giving a speech.
You should know all
so
about
I'm
that,
gonna
Mehdi.
interrupt you.
But let me finish and I'll come to you. He's a ruthless dictator, to be clear, who illegally invaded a sovereign democratic country. But do I think that Donald Trump has more chance of forging peace here when that war is clearly at a point where it's just going to kill more and more people for very little territorial change? Yes, I do. Far more than Joe Biden ever even looked like doing.
And it's also for history, too. Like, can we go... I just want to hear, like, what would you say for World War I, for trench warfare? The sides were moving almost not at all. Should the West have surrendered? Should Germany have surrendered early? Like, for World War II, Germany had taken over, like, the entire fucking continent of fucking Europe, basically. Like, should the United States have not even bothered to intervene? Would it have been a waste of time? Like, we're going to shoot everybody into this fucking beach? Like, men literally into the meat grinder? Like, how would you justify any war or any, like, people die in war all the time. It's kind of like one of the things that happens. So, like, just why am I don't know why I'm saying any of this. This is fucking stupid. Like, if anybody invades anybody ever, do you just immediately throw down your arms and then you're like, oh, well, fuck, we can't have anybody dying? Like, it's actually just so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. It's so crazy.
Over to you, Mehdi.
No, I don't have much to add other than to repeat my point, which is I'm not for war. I'm the most dovish person on the three of us on this panel.
Oh, okay. And I updated the survey. Okay. I made these a little easier to understand. I'm going to just link it in DGG first. Tell me if there's something. I don't think I need to change any of this, but hold on. I think this should be okay.
My point is a very simple political point, which maybe neither of you want to hear, which is that when Democrats are in office, if they ever try and make peace or do deals with dictators, they get attacked by Dan's party and Fox for being soft on defense. We all know this is undeniable. In Washington, D.C., they're called soft, they're called sellouts. Obama was demonized for many reasons, including his Russia reset comments. All I'm saying is the Republicans come into office with Trump, not with any other one, not with Romney, but with Trump. And when Trump does it, they all flip and say, let's have peace with North Korea.
What Mehdi needs right here, Mehdi, your killer example on this, Mehdi, is Republican versus Democratic support Syria strikes. This is one of your killer examples, and it's about the Middle East, which everybody loves to debate over. When we were talking about under Obama doing military action in Syria, the Democratic support was 38% in 2013. And it was 37% for Trump later in 2017. Republicans in 2013, it was 22%. Under Trump, 86%. 86%. Republicans are sycophants, okay? This is not a party that is guided by any kind of moral compass. It's just whatever their daddy says is what goes. It's insane. It's unhinged.
Are you kidding me? If Joe Biden had said, I'm exchanging love letters with Kim Jong-un, the Republicans would have crucified him. Everyone here knows.
All right.
Let me explain to you the difference between rhetoric and actions. So under Obama in 2014, what did Russia do?
Very patronizing.
Refresh my memory, since you have the memory longer than a goldfish. Oh yeah, they invaded Ukraine. And did Obama give any weapons to Ukraine for self-defense? No.
I'm pretty sure he did authorize some of the sales. They like to use this like sheets and something pillows line or some bullshit.
No, Trump did. Javelins.
And did your party attack him for that? Hold on.
Like, here's the question: why didn't Putin pull out of Crimea when Trump was in office? Because you said that Trump would stop this, right? What would Trump have done to stop Russia from invading Ukraine? I want to hear the answer to that one time as well. I want to hear that answer one time. You said that in office, if Trump was in office, that Putin wouldn't invade Ukraine. Why? What would he have done? And I dare you to try to find an answer to that besides, oh, well, he just wouldn't have because he's scared of Trump. Scared of what? What has Trump done in every single fucking conflict besides run with his tail between his legs? That's what he did in Afghanistan. It was a full unconditional surrender to the Taliban. That's what he did in Syria. It was a full withdrawal and abandoning our Kurdish allies. The only people that Trump seemed to have shown any courage against was to obscure the amount of drone strikes we did against fucking Houthis, okay? They give machine guns to 13-year-old boys, all right? Those are the only people that Trump is brave enough to fucking fight. So show me, where is all this courage that the United States has on the international stage, the stomach for conflict? Where is it?
But didn't your party attack him for that?
Don't
you just made
interrupt
my
him,
point
Mehdi,
for me,
please.
Dan.
No.
Thanks. Thanks,
Mehdi,
Dan.
let him speak.
Thanks, Dan. You just made my point for me.
Let Dan speak, please. Mehdi, stop interrupting.
Yeah, Republicans attacked Obama.
Wait, are you saying my party attacked Trump for giving
Republicans
Ukraine
attacked Obama for no. I said
for letting
Republicans
Russia
attacked
invade
Obama
Ukraine? Yeah.
for not arming.
Yes,
God, you're making my point for me. So they attacked him for being soft on
No, you're
Russia.
not.
That's my point. So when Obama's soft on Russia, it's bad. When Trump
point
is
is
soft on
action.
Russia, it's
Stop
good.
interrupting.
Do you see the hypocrisy here?
No, there's no hypocrisy because we
You've
look at
interrupted me
actions.
multiple times. That's
So
the famous interruption.
Trump actually has taken actions against Russia to include arming the Ukrainians. So, if he hadn't done that, by the way, Ukraine would be Russia right now.
He just cut off. He just cut off aid.
For
Sorry,
3
Dan,
days.
come on,
for like
don't
3
stop
days.
gaslighting
and
us.
it's-
Oh my God, for just 3 days, bro. It's just 3 days, bro. And this guy was supposedly a Navy SEAL. Now, I don't know if that means that he was actually part of the U.S. Special Forces or if he put on a giant fucking rubber suit and got fucked in the ocean, okay, while flailing around, okay? Navy SEAL. Right? I don't know what the fuck that actually means now. Like, what a stupid fucking comment. It's just 3 days, bro.
Literally,
back on.
and people
It's
died.
already
And
back
how many
on.
children died? And how many people
already
died?
back
How many
on.
people
What are
died in
you
those 3
talking
days?
about?
You want to tell the viewers?
That had
Do you want to tell the viewers how many people died? Were there not rocket attacks?
Warfare. You know nothing about the on the ground on Ukraine. That had no effect on the ground in Ukraine. It had zero effect.
But
4 days of supposedly
you were
cutting
just-
off aid had zero effect.
And intelligence that sometimes they use to guide their fucking HIMARS? You don't think... Wait, I just want to... You should make him commit to that statement. Like, okay, hold on. Mr. Navy SEAL Special Forces, getting cut off from intelligence and getting cut off from aid for 4 days doesn't make a difference in active conflict? You don't think it might shade the decisions that are being made on the battlefield if you don't know if aid or stuff can be cut off at any point in time? You don't think that there's any way for the enemy to take advantage of that? Oh, wait, I don't even have to ask that question because Russia literally fucking did. And your own fucking leader was truthing out how ass-pained he was over it because as soon as all that shit got shut off, Russia started bombing fucking Ukraine even more. Like, sorry.
I don't need to know about warfare to know that you just misinformed the viewers. He literally cut off arms and intel.
I'm not done with my list of actions that Trump
And he cut
took.
off arms and intel.
Okay, so Putin invaded Ukraine twice, both under Obama and Biden. Under Trump, Ukraine was given defense weapons that actually saved Ukraine.
Wait.
And Biden. So Putin invaded Ukraine twice, both under Obama and Biden. Under Trump, Ukraine.
You know, he was just also, because I know that we'd like to forget this, but there was still active fighting that was Russian-backed in the Donbass for the entirety of Trump's term. Trump did fuck all about it, just to be clear, okay?
Ukraine was given defense weapons that actually saved Ukraine from being totally taken over because it was those weapons that were used to destroy Russian tanks just outside Kiev. I saw them with my own eyes.
It's
Have you
true.
been there?
What do you...
I'm so sorry. It's just a figure picture. Did he say I saw them with my own eyes or I saw them with my own eye? I'm sorry. That was...
That were used to destroy Russian tanks just outside Kiev. I saw them with my own eyes.
It's
Have
true.
you been there?
What are you saying is
Do
true?
you know about the actual on the
Is the eye badge even real? Is he even... Does he even... I'm sorry. I don't know.
ground truth in Ukraine?
Oh,
Okay.
Mehi should call him a liar. He should call him a liar. With your own eyes? I don't believe you.
How
against one at all, is it,
how
Piers?
many hundreds of Russian soldiers did Trump vaporize in Syria? To say that Trump is some Putin vaporizing?
Oh, it's not two against one at all, is it,
How
Piers?
many hundreds of Russian soldiers did Trump vaporize in Syria? To say that Trump is some Putin puppet and
Wait, why can't he do this? If we really truly believe, okay, that he did do that, if we really truly believe that that happened, then why can't he do it again in Ukraine? Why not? Huh?
and soft
Also, well, never mind. He probably meant that.
on Putin is absolutely ridiculous. He knows how to negotiate. He ran on getting a deal. He was very clear about wanting a deal, which you seem to agree with. I don't understand how you can talk out of both sides.
Yeah, because I was going to say, he's talking about that battle of Kasham or whatever with the Wagner group. I was going to say, so you're saying the Wagner group, was that the one? Hold on, let me check real quick. Yeah, I think it was. Also, was it hundreds or I thought it was less than 100, but okay, whatever.
Sides of your mouth.
No.
This is what I mean by your complaints about it seem to be completely stylistic. Like, how are you going to get Putin to the table by beating your chest? I mean, that is
Because we have the biggest chest in the world. We're the United States of America. Why do they take such cucked positions? Why are we so weak? He's talking about Wagner. Is he talking about Wagner's here? He's talking about Wagner's here, yes. Why are we so weak? Why are we so weak? Russia didn't claim them, so technically, well, Russia can't claim them. That's the whole point of Wagner Group. Paramilitary is allowed to operate independently from your country, so it's not actually you, which is also the reason why we fucking vaporize them. That had nothing to do with like Trump's leadership or anything, though. That just had to do with some Russians getting way too cocky on the battlefield. Like, what are we supposed to do as the United States of America? How are we supposed to get to negotiate? You're the US of A. What do you mean, how the fuck are you supposed? What, you have every single soft and hard power tool that's ever been available in the history of the entire world at your disposal. What do you mean? Why are you acting like there's no way to bring Putin to the table for anything?
That is Trump's argument, and it's a sensible one. And he also has to get his allies in order, which he has done. So we've got the French, we've got the English who are willing to put peacekeeping troops on the ground. We are going in the right direction here. Where the Europeans are understanding, the French are great on
We're
leading
literally
on this.
losing allies on the rest, but okay.
You're not losing allies. America's not losing any allies.
We're not losing any allies. We're
You're in
making
denial,
them stronger.
Piers. You're in denial.
Do you see what I'm saying? And also about like the two separate realities. Somebody asked, I think yesterday, or the day before, how do you merge our realities again? You can't. One has to be utterly destroyed, and it will at some point. Because what did the guy say? Every time you lie, it's like you're paying a debt against the truth or whatever. You have to pay it back eventually. Like, that Vance speech did more damage to European relations in the U.S. I'm trying to think since, like, probably forever. That was probably the single most damaging thing that I think the U.S. has maybe ever done against Europe. Maybe in the past 100 years. Iraq? I mean, Iraq was a foreign policy plunder, but in terms of damaging our relationship with Europe, no, I don't think so. No. That the Vance speech was more, people after Iraq weren't saying like we need to abandon the United States. They're not the leader of the world anymore. We can't do anything with the United States. That wasn't the case. Iraq was bad for sure, but that Vance speech at the security conference, that was probably the most damage that has ever occurred between the United States and Europe in the history of our countries being friends, or in the history of the United States being friendly with Western Europe, I guess. Yeah.
Not losing any allies.
We're not losing any allies. We're
You're
making
in denial,
them stronger.
Piers. You're in denial.
Well, the British Prime Minister has made it clear in the last few days that
You've
the
never
relationship has never been
met with
stronger.
senior advisors.
And by the way,
all that's happening, by the way, all that's happening is that European
there's just two of you
countries
just
are
shouting at
finally.
me. All right.
It was my show. European.
I
think every viewer can see the two of you.
Mehdi, sometimes you forget you're on my show when you do this. If I'm on yours, you can dictate it any way you like.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, when you're on mine, Piers, I don't do two against one. I do on my own. I interview you on my own.
No, you do. All that's happened in the last week or so is that Europe has finally stepped up and accepted more responsibility for defending itself properly and less reliance on America to constantly bail us out.
Can I speak
as a European?
Like, Pete, they talk about relationships so transactionally. That's a word that's been used a lot, and it is true. And listening to Piers defend it now, it's so transactional. Like, I divorced my wife, I kicked her out, so finally she can stop relying on me like the weak person she is, and now she can go be strong on her own. It's like, we have like, I kicked my 15-year-old son who was doing poorly in school, and he was too weak to work at the same time, so I kicked him out, and now my son is a working class person. He's out there doing hard work like a real man, and I was like, what are you, bro? Like, these are friendships and relationships. Why are you speaking about these people like they're a child? They're like it's children. They need to be scolded. And like we don't get anything out of this either. Like, holy Christ. Holy Christ.
I am completely in favour of that, and that's almost entirely down to Donald Trump, who was right onto the NATO scam in his first term, where European countries were not paying even their basic dues into NATO. Why?
Paying into what? What are they supposed to pay into? Does anybody even know what this 2% number means? But I don't know.
Should America step up as everyone's policeman?
Because America gets favor with trade, with guaranteed access to trade routes, with guaranteed access to intelligence, with the ability to cooperate with a number of nations, with the ability to basically command nations to carry out its foreign policy aims and agenda. When we intervene in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, and sometimes even in Syria, and in places like fucking Libya, or in helping countries like Israel, like the fact that the United States can basically look at the free world and say, hey, can you guys like help us here? Can you join on with this? Or at least not fuck with us or whatever. That's a big deal that the U.S. gets to advance its foreign policy interests to all of these countries without even a second thought. Nobody stops and thinks like, well, should we fuck with the United States, or should we, should we support the other side of this conflict? Like, we haven't even thought about that before. This is
backing them with money, with military and everything else, if the Europeans won't even pay their basic membership fees. He was right then, did everything else, step up as everyone's policeman, backing them with money, with military and everything else, if the Europeans won't even pay their basic membership fees. He was right then, and he's right now about Europe.
The membership fees? Like it's a fucking card that you've got to renew, the NATO card?
Stepping up. Mehdi.
I'm allowed to speak yet?
You may speak.
Can I respond? Thank you very much. It's funny because I said to your producer before,
NATO has an agreement that every country member will spend 2% of their GDP for defense. Most weren't until Trump pointed it out and scared them. first of all, I don't think there's like a fucking rule, like a hard rule, like you have to do it. Okay, I'm pretty sure that 2% thing is a guideline. All right, it's not like if you don't do this, you get fucking kicked out. Right? We accept people into NATO with everybody agreeing. It's not like that was like, oh, make sure that they're spending enough percentage on there, blah 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 beforehand. Like, fuck out of here.
Piers going to be neutral. He said, yes, very neutral.
I am neutral.
Two people shouting at me every time I speak.
I am
okay.
neutral.
Yeah, okay, if you say so. I think the viewers can see that two people are shouting at me every time I speak.
Oh, and we get to ship our weapons to everybody as well, because everybody uses the same weapon systems, and we're all coordinated on parts and standards and everything else. And
yeah, okay, if you say so. I think the viewers can see that two people are shouting at me every time I speak. So, yeah, I think it's clear that two people are shouting at me every time I try and speak.
You made a big statement about interrupting, so we're just calling you out when you interrupt everybody. Mehdi,
let me know when I can speak, boys. I'll try. Let's see.
You're being a baby. You're being a baby.
Oh my God, bro.
On the front, there you go. There you go. There's another interruption. Another interruption from Dan. Hey, Dan, I'm not a baby. I'm happy to be here on my own. You need to be handheld by Piers. That's fine. Look, my point here about Russia is very simple.
Handhold Dan Crenshaw.
My point about Russia.
Are you even aware of his military career?
So far, three interruptions. Three interruptions. Let's keep going. Let's see. Everyone's watching. Everyone is watching to see that I cannot make one point about Russia.
Why don't you just speak?
Let me start a fourth time. Let me start a fourth time and see if you both could actually let me speak.
You haven't started anything.
If you both shut up, maybe
all you do is insult us. Say something.
Anything.
Hey, I love the Morgan Crenshaw dream team. No, it's not 2 against 1 at all. All right, so let me start for a fourth time.
Very silly.
Russia thinks Trump is. Oh wow. Okay, 5th time. Russia has openly said that Trump is aligned with our vision, right? Russians are the ones saying they love Trump. The Russian media loves Trump. The Mueller report made it very clear that Putin always wanted Trump to win and in both elections. So let's not get lost in Trump. Trump called Putin a genius for invading Ukraine in 2022. And yes, the invasion happened on Biden's watch, but Zelensky himself will tell you, you've both met Zelensky, I haven't, he'll tell you that thanks to Joe Biden, Russia wasn't able to completely destroy and wipe out Ukraine in a matter of months or weeks, as some people thought he would, including American generals wrongly. So it's absurd to say Joe Biden didn't support Ukraine for the last few years. Of course he did. And yes, we all want peace, but I don't trust Trump. If I'm wrong, I'll come back on this show and I'll say to you all, you guys were right. Trump got peace in Russia and Ukraine, and it sustained, and it was a durable, real peace.
And
I will come back in a year or 2 years.
And I will say now, Trump will deliver peace in Ukraine. So we'll see. We'll have the same three of us.
Okay, good. Okay, and let me finish.
Mehdi, you shouldn't make this deal that he'll get peace. You should say peace with some type of Russian concession, because it's not something to be celebrated, and it's not difficult from a U.S. standpoint to basically to proceed over. Not proceed over. Is that the word I'm looking for? When you proceed over something, when you like overlook something, or when you're over. There's a word I'm looking for. Not proceed. Is it proceed? Preside. It's not something to brag about, to preside over a unilateral surrender, basically an unconditional surrender from Ukraine to Russia, right? Like, what is Russia giving up? Especially with that minerals deal on top of it, which is one of the most disgusting fucking things I've ever heard in my entire life. That's a shameful, embarrassing moment for U.S. foreign policy. Holy fuck. But you shouldn't even be surprised, because Trump has made similar comments in the past. Remember when Trump said, do you remember when Trump said, he said this about Syria, I believe, right?
Donald Trump sat down with Bill O'Reilly on the issue of foreign policy.
This is like the lightning round here. You just tell me how you're going to solve these problems. ISIS. How are you going to defeat ISIS?
I would hit them so hard. I would find our proper general. I would find the Patton or the MacArthur. I would hit them so hard your head would spin. Now remember, and I sent you the document, I said in 2004 we should not go in and do that whole thing with Iraq. It was a disaster, because I said that Iran will take over and it'll totally destabilize the Middle East. But there's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Are you telling me you're going to send American ground troops into Syria?
I'm not telling you anything. And the reason I'm not is because if I run and I win, I don't want them to know the game plan.
Okay.
Let me
but
just say
have
something.
to, if you
Bill,
want to hit them hard,
I'm probably going to have to say I have a way that would be very effective with respect to ISIS. But when I watch Obama get up and talk about in 2 weeks we're doing this and in 3 weeks we're doing that.
Put American ground troops in to chase them around?
Take back the oil. Once you go over and take back that oil, they have nothing.
But how do you take it back?
Right? You have to go in. You have to go
With
in.
ground troops?
Well, you bomb the hell out of them, and then you encircle it, and then you go in, and you let Mobil go in, and you let our great oil companies go in. Once you take that oil, they have nothing left.
That's what he said. He said it about Syria, so it's not surprising that he'd do it with Ukraine. They're all enemies to Trump, to the United States. Every country is just somebody to fuck over in some kind of deal. So it's not really that surprising, I guess, that he's doing it with Ukraine, but like he said this shit in the past.
Let me finish the point that I've been waiting. Can I just finish the one point I waited 5 minutes for?
Yes, why don't you make it? Rather than...
well, I do have a disagreement because...
I like how Piers is like, Mehi, why do you keep acting like you're getting cut off? Mehi, shut up, Mehi! Why do you keep acting like you're getting cut off so much? Just go ahead and talk. Wait, hold on, Mehi. Wait, Mehi. Wait, okay. No, go talk, Mehi. Jesus.
Because actually, I do think Western allies are reassessing their view of the U.S., and I think it's absurd to say Europe...
Wait, how old is this? 22 hours ago? Don't hedge that statement, Mehi. Don't hedge it. I think European allies are rethinking their... No, don't think they are. No, they are. They are. They're talking about it. All of them are publicly talking about it now. That's not like a potentiality. That's the thing that's happening.
Because actually, I do think Western allies are...
And it started, funnily enough, under Trump as well. Because I believe it was Merkel who said...
It's only one word, but it's laden with meaning. Friend. And according to Angela Merkel's new election manifesto, her party and the US are friends no more. When they unveiled their program, the Christian Democrats described the United States as Germany's most important partner outside Europe. In previous years, the country was Berlin's most important friend. The subtle change underscores the tense relations with President Donald Trump's White House. At a frosty meeting in the Oval Office in March, Trump declined to shake Merkel's hand. They've clashed over immigration and climate change, issues on the agenda when the pair will meet again this Thursday on the eve of the G20 summit in Hamburg.
But we got something for this, right? I think we got something for tanking our relations with Germany. I don't remember what, but I'm sure we got something really good.
Speaking as she announced her manifesto, Merkel acknowledged their different worldviews may come to a head at the summit.
Regarding U.S. President Donald Trump, we're going to discuss a number of controversial questions during the G20 summit. Climate protection, trade. We know certain positions that the American government holds, and I don't expect that these positions will be abandoned.
Once the G20 is over, Merkel will return her focus to domestic issues ahead of the September vote, where she's expected to be re-elected for the 4th time.
The G7 summit in Italy last week seems to have left a bitter taste in Angela Merkel's mouth, and not even German beer could wash it away. At a campaign rally on Sunday, the German chancellor revealed her vision for Europe's future.
The times in which we can fully count on others are to some extent over, as I have experienced in the past few days. That is why I can only say we Europeans must really take our destiny into our own hands.
It's a future without the UK, which has been negotiating its exit from the EU since the end of March.
Right.
Merkel also suggested that Europe could no longer count on another longtime ally, the United States. At last week's G7 meeting, U.S. President Donald Trump continued to distance himself from allies, particularly on the issue of climate. In an unprecedented move, the U.S. did not sign a joint statement made by all 6 other nations, reaffirming their commitment to fight climate change. On Saturday, Trump tweeted that he'd decide in the coming days whether to pull the U.S. from the Paris climate deal. The U.S. president's apparent indifference towards European allies was...
Which I think he finally did when he came into presidency a month and a half ago, right? We left the WHO and the Paris Climate Accord thing, I think, right?
During his first foreign trip. During a speech by the Italian Prime Minister, Trump appeared not to be wearing a translation device. Earlier in the week,
That's
Trump
because he speaks every language.
Gave a speech to NATO allies where he made no explicit reference to the U.S.'s support for Article 5, NATO's mutual defense guarantee. For Merkel, that means Europe must now decide how to navigate in the era of America First.
But this has been happening, like, under Trump, both times.
Reassessing their view of the U.S., and I think it's absurd to say...
Oh, he left during the first term, Biden rejoined, and then he left again. Okay, nice. The U.S., schizophrenia, all right.
Europe did. I'm so fed up with this propaganda, Piers, that you as a European are pushing about. The Europeans spent, if you include support for refugees, Europeans spent $300 billion on Ukraine. Even if you just do military and humanitarian aid, as Dan himself has accepted, it's equal, right? If you throw in refugee support, they spent billions. This is absurd.
And what's the territorial size of Europe against America?
The biggest
population?
Ukraine.
Sorry. What's the population of Europe compared to America?
What's the GDP? Why would you just go by population? Where are these American, like, retarded American talking points coming from? What?
I don't know off the top of my head.
You don't know? Why don't you go away and work out
tell me,
that
Piers,
Europe is many, many times the size of the United States? both geographically and in population. And yet you think they should be parity.
So what are you saying then? Tear up the transatlantic
They should be
alliance?
parity, should they?
No, but hold on. The US wanted to bleed Russia in this war. This is what people on the left have been saying for a while. The US had national security interests, they claimed, Republican and Democrats told us, including Dan Crenshaw, in fighting Russia. So don't act like this is some humanitarian gesture or charitable act by the US to Ukraine. Come on, grow up. That's not what happened in Ukraine.
Okay, I'll try and grow up. Let's move on to the final.
Go back to
I'm going to try and grow up. Let's move on to the final topic, which is Mahmoud Halil, who's this prominent figure in Columbia University's pro-Palestinian student protest movement, been arrested and detained on Saturday after an executive order by President Trump ordered that terrorist sympathizers should be deported. Now, Halil is married to an American, but is in the US on a green card, and there is actual legal activity still ongoing, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. Trump wrote on Truth Social, "We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who've engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity, and the Trump administration will not tolerate it." Mehi, your response?
Yeah, so to go back to the start of the show, and Dan talked about Trump derangement syndrome. Many people have accused me of Trump derangement syndrome because I've been warning about, as you know, on this show with you, Piers, you and I have argued about Trump fascism, Trump autocracy, authoritarianism, racism. I've been super worried about what Donald Trump might be. But even I was shocked by this. I thought they would go after student visas, students, the low-hanging fruit. I would have objected to that, but there would have been at least some argument there. To go after a lawful permanent resident in this way, no accusation of a crime, no charge of a crime, the way they did it was horrific. Then Trump comes out with weaponizing Judaism in Hebrew with Shalom Mahmoud, again accusing him of no crime, saying he's anti-Semitic and anti-American. Very McCarthyite phrase. What does anti-American mean? Donald Trump, many would argue, is very anti-American.
True.
So it's a very, very scary moment we're in. Those of us who believe in the rule of law, who support immigrant rights. There are more green card holders in the US than undocumented immigrants, 14 million, who are now, I know many of them who are living in fear now about what they, what's going to happen to them. Did they say something or do something that Trump doesn't like? I do find it ironic that the Republican Party, which obsessed for years over threats to free speech, over social media censorship, over COVID lockdowns, over the government coming for your guns, black helicopters in the skies, now seem to be totally fine with armed federal agents from the United States government turning up unannounced at the home of a US citizen who is 8 months pregnant to detain without charge her lawful permanent resident husband and then disappear him simply because the President of the United States doesn't agree with his political views or the content of his speech. If that is not fascism...
Oh, remember when you have the, what is it? When you have the facts on your table, pound the facts. When you've got the law on your table, pound the law. When you have neither, just pound the table. Crenshaw just going to say, well, legally, he has the ability to do this. Legally, he's not breaking any crimes, has he? Legally, it's okay, right? When you're talking about Biden, morality is the thing that should be guiding the executive branch. When you're talking about Trump, legality is the thing that should be constraining his actions. That's it. When you're talking about a Democrat, they need to be acting in the most moral way that adheres to the best possible interpretation of the spirit of any law ever written or not written ever. But when you're talking about a Republican, as long as they're not on the outer perimeter of their actions violating like a law, then they're fine to do whatever. Like it's...
I don't know what is.
Okay, Dan, your response.
I'll help you out. So let's read what...
Oh, let's read. He's going to say, let's read what the law says. Oh, let's read what the law says. Maybe not. Maybe he's going to say something more insightful.
Khalil's statements actually were. Quote, we are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. Our intifada is an internationalist one. We are fighting for nothing less than the liberation of all people. So this is an incitement to violence.
What? That's an incitement to violence? But Jan 6 and Trump speeches are not an incitement. So he's going full on past incitement to violence directly? So was he charged with that crime of inciting somebody to violence? Because that's a crime, right?
For nothing less than the liberation of all people. So this is an incitement to violence, very clearly so. If you're looking,
that's a statement from a group he was part of.
Yeah. So okay. So here's.
Oh, and Crenshaw didn't even have the facts right.
And here's the law. You're right. Sorry. That is correct.
Oh, and he knew, this lying skeevy fuck, and he even knew.
Now, here's the law that we're referencing. You said he broke no laws.
Here's the law.
It's Section 8, U.S. Code 1227.
There it is. Yeah, the law is on Trump.
Being a representative of a political or social group that endorses or espouses terrorist activity is against the law and a violation of the social contract of having that visa. That's
The social contract?
Violation of your the social contract of having that visa. Okay. That's the argument. There isn't some. This isn't some McCarthyism. This isn't some vague issue. How is it false? I just read to you the actual U.S. code.
Not true. I'll tell you. No,
not true according to who?
No, you're not going to get to, Mehdi, because he's not going to let you speak. Well, let's see if he does. Let's see if he's allowed to. Or maybe Piers will jump in and save Dan here.
I can tell you how it's false, because according to the White House, Dan, according to the White House, the White House went to the Free Press yesterday. You should check your facts before you come on and defend the White House. The White House went to the Free Press and said, we're not accusing him of breaking any laws. So Congressman Dan Crenshaw is coming on TV making wild accusations of law breaking based on a quote that's not from Mahmoud Khalil.
Well,
that doesn't say anything about terrorism.
It's just referencing the law.
They are, well, hold on. Hold on, you're wrong, Dan. First, accept that you're wrong. The White House said to the Free Press, Barry Weiss's right-wing Free Press, this week, we are not accusing him of breaking any laws. In fact, if you want to understand the laws, you need to look at the Immigration National Act of 1952. They're actually taking him into deportation proceedings under Section 237A4CI, which allows Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, to personally deport a migrant because he believes that migrant's presence has serious potential adverse consequences for U.S. foreign policy. That is the obscure act, which, by the way, was designed for Eastern European Jews to get rid of them because they were deemed to be communists in the 1950s. That is what Rubio is using to get rid of a lawful permanent resident. Now, whether that's legal or not, Trump's late sister, Judge Marion Trump Barry, said it was a violation of the First Amendment. We'll see if the Supreme Court gets involved. But the idea that we should live in a country where Marco Rubio or Antony Blinken can remove a green card holder because he doesn't like his views and they're against U.S. foreign policy, some nebulous aim, that's outrageous. And
it's just like that should bother you, just period. It's just such a gross affront to for a lot of conservatives, if you ask them what makes America great, they don't even know anything about the founding of the country, anything about the structure of the government, anything about how this country is put together. They'll just say, oh, the First Amendment. And then to see them retreat so quickly from freedom of speech here, this is supposed to be the only thing you guys care about. Like, holy Christ.
Was a time when the Republican Party would have been against that.
Thank you for making the argument
today,
stronger. You've added to my argument, and I appreciate that. So perhaps you should be defending the Trump administration instead of me.
I'm pointing out to you that he hasn't broken any laws.
He
hasn't committed any criminal violence. He hasn't broken any laws.
He
hasn't broken any laws. That law,
which Rubio is saying.
Dan, let me explain it to you again. That law.
What's the real answer for what makes America great? Our endless system of appeals. Ha 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 ha. Isn't that what the guy says?
Gives Rubio the power to do it. That doesn't mean Mahmoud Khalil has broken any laws.
And I gave you another law.
I
referenced another law.
And you're wrong. And you're wrong. The White House disowned you, Dan. And the White House disowned you. The White House said
it doesn't matter if the law exists. You said you were giving a civics lesson. You can point to any law you want, but it's the one that they're citing when they're engaged in actual legal action that fucking matters, you fucking moron.
We're not accusing them of law breaking. Your White House, Dan. Okay. It's embarrassing for you because the White House disowned you, and you don't know that.
You just quoted Rubio referencing a law, did you not?
No.
It's, oh my God. He's actually so fucking retarded. You notice like how all of these Republicans, they're all like missing parts of their fucking head? I think there's something going on here, okay? This needs to be looked into.
Because you don't understand the law.
What do you mean they're not?
The law gives Rubio, let me say it slowly then. Rubio has the power to remove someone he believes is against U.S. foreign policy.
Yes.
That is not someone who's broken the law. That just gives him immigration power. Nobody is suggesting Mahmoud Khalil has broken the law. He hasn't been charged with breaking any law.
I understand.
He was disciplined to Louisiana.
I understand what you're saying.
You say he broke the law. The White House says he didn't. So check with the White House on talking points before you come on TV.
I can have my own opinion on the legal justification for removing this person.
Well, no, you can't really. That doesn't really make any sense. Right? Like, if you think that somebody's broken some law, or rather, if, let's say, the federal government thinks somebody's broken a law and they've charged them with a crime, and you're like, well, I think they're guilty, and I agree, but, like, for a different reason, that's just your own personal opinion that's fucking worthless, right? You would go by, what's on the indictment? What are they being charged with? What's the action that's being cited? Like, what a stupid, pointless, empty statement.
Rubio has legal justification.
Okay, but the government disagrees with you that you're here to defend.
You're saying, no, they don't.
I agree, he does have legal justification.
You're saying,
unless the Supreme Court shoots it down.
Different, which is that there's...
I'm saying it's unconstitutional.
No law
I'm saying that's unconstitutional.
Okay, despite the fact that there's...
No, I didn't say that at all, actually. You just made that up.
Now, some of this is getting fucked up because of that delay. There's no reason for this delay to happen, guys. Figure your shit out.
No,
you just made that up, Dan. You just made that up. You just made that up. I'm the only person who said Rubio... I didn't say that he hasn't broken. I said that Rubio has a legal power to remove him. You said he's broken laws, and I'm saying he's not been charged with any crimes.
I referenced a different one.
What?
I'm giving
Has he been
the
charged with it,
audience.
Dan? Who charged him with that crime?
Context.
No. He's already
I'm not saying
detained.
the administration charged him.
No, that's not context.
I'm saying
Has he been charged?
I'm giving the
Has he been
audience
charged with a
context on
crime?
why these things are
He
allowed to
hasn't.
happen.
And that's outrageous.
What context? They're not citing this law for removal reasons, so you're not giving any context.
Wow. So
Is
you're
it really
okay with disappearing lawful permanent residents? Yes.
Is it really
to
outrageous
disappear a legal permanent resident because Marco Rubio don't like his views?
Okay, Mehdi, should people, hang on.
Look at the McCarthyite language.
Let me ask Mehdi a question then. Should people who are in the United States?
Let's poll the American people. Okay, that's how we make. That's how we protect civil liberties, do we, Dan?
Mehdi,
we poll the American people.
Mehdi, let me ask you a question.
Well, if the Republicans are winning the poll, which ironically he's hitting on why Trump talks about that popular mandate so much. I won the opinion poll last time. I got a plurality of the vote, so therefore I can do anything I want.
Be curious what they think.
Should somebody who's in America on a green card be allowed to support a terror organization? Because according to all the paperwork you
Fuck. I think this is the problem, right? There is a good argument that no, they shouldn't be allowed to support foreign terror organizations. I think there's a defendable argument there. It just gets a lot harder when these quote-unquote terrorist organizations are literally governing bodies of states. That makes this a very, very difficult issue to sort through. It makes it almost impossible to sort through. Like,
fill in when you apply for a green card. If you do support one, you would not be given a green card. Hamas are a prescribed terror group in the United States.
Can I answer?
He has supported Hamas.
Is he going to ask
Therefore,
what's a terror group?
If the United States government
how do you know
how do you know it's a terror group? Oh, this is a really good line of argumentation as well. How do you know it's a terror group? Because Trump said so. So the president of the United States can designate somebody a terrorist group and then deport you as a green card holder if you support it. Do you see how fucking stupid that is?
States. He has supported Hamas. Therefore, if the United States government if they wanted to revoke his green card, they are perfectly within their rights to do so, as Dan has articulated.
Not true. Piers, you don't. No, Dan has not articulated that at all. No law has been cited that says you can revoke his green card because of his speech. Piers, you don't know what you're talking about. You cannot revoke a green card because you don't like someone's speech.
If you support a terror group,
where's your evidence of that,
you would
Piers?
not get
Where's
a green
your evidence
card?
of that, Piers?
It's US
Piers,
Code
you can't just say stuff. Where's your evidence for that? Fuck me. Is this really going to be two against one?
I don't even know where he's getting 1227. Isn't even what I think we usually hear cited here. Is it? Oh, no, it is. Never mind. It's 1227 plus, because this references another chapter, but 1227 is what we're looking at.
Literally both talking at me at the same time. You speak at one time.
Although this isn't even what apparently Rubio is citing. He's citing some other power to remove this guy as well.
I respond to two of you. No, Piers asked me a question. No, Piers asked me a question, Dan. No, Dan. Piers asked me a question. I'm responding to Piers. So if you can hold your point. Piers asked me about withdrawing a green card. I'm telling you, Piers, there is no evidence he supports Hamas. If there was, they would have arrested him for it. They didn't charge him with supporting Hamas.
The organisation that he fronts, the organisation that he fronts, actually described October the 7th as a victory.
That you have that right. You have that right. Hello. This is the goddamn US of A. Now we should be standing tall on our First Amendment rights. And Dan Dickshaw over here should be the #1 person to do it because he's the Republican. If you want to say that October 7th or 9/11 was a beautiful event and fuck America and all that shit, you have the right to do that. That's your right to freedom of speech in the United States. God bless.
They described October the 7th as a victory.
That's a speech. Piers, and that's free speech in this country. Maybe you live in the
UK
and know about
supporting
the First
Hamas
Amendment
or
in this
not?
country.
Yes.
It's offensive.
Is it supporting Hamas?
It's not a crime. Is it? If you say October the 7th is a victory, and I have not seen a quote from...
There's a reason I read the quote that I read, because
by the way,
it's an
Piers,
incitement
it's
to
been
violence.
4 days.
There's a line.
And it's not from him.
What's that line called? Dipshit? Brandenburg is the line. And that isn't even close to crossing the fucking line. It has to be... the person has to knowingly, like... They have to be aware that there is the likelihood of violence occurring after they call for something, and then there has to be like a proximity in time and place. You can't say like death to the West, fuck the West, and call that an incitement to violence. That's not that wouldn't count at all. That doesn't even come close to passing the threshold for incitement to violence. It's a very high bar for that, which these guys all know. And I bet I'm curious if this guy's ever even said Brandenburg because of defending Trump and his January 6th shit. Fuck, kill me.
Nice try, Dan, but the quote wasn't from him. There's 4 days. The US government and Fox News have had 4 days. To produce all sorts of stuff: video evidence, photographic evidence. Quote. They've got nothing, which is why they're not charging him with a crime.
Well, let's see.
And they're saying he's aligned with Hamas.
Circumstances
Piers, can I finish the sentence? They're saying he's aligned with Hamas. You can't just say people are.
You don't do that.
Should I say, Piers? Piers, you're aligned with Hamas. Should we just throw around accusations? I mean,
Well,
you need
I
evidence
don't
at a
front
court
an
of law.
organisation that made a
That's the last time I checked what America says.
No, just to be clear, I don't front an organisation.
Unfortunately, Piers, there's free
Sorry,
speech.
just to finish my point, you asked me a question.
I thought this show was called Uncensored.
It is. You have to let me respond to your questions. If you ask me a question, or Dan, let us respond. Don't just then talk.
Let us. I thought you were just the moderator, though.
Well, go for
I
it.
thought this wasn't
Quite
2-on-1.
straightforward. And I would say that I do not front an organisation which has put out statements describing October the 7th as a victory. If you do, you are a supporter of Hamas.
Which organisation
If
is
you
that, Piers?
support Hamas, you are
Which
supporting
organisation put that
a
statement out?
terrorist organisation, and as such, you would be in breach.
Which organisation put that statement out, Piers?
The student
You
group
can't
that he
make claims. Which
the
organisation
student
put that
group that
statement
he fronts, whatever
Which
they're
student
called. What's it called?
Which student group?
Whatever the
You can't just make
CUAD.
wild-
Okay, wait, just real quick, okay, because now I'm going to drop my survey. Okay, what are my communities I need to post in? We have my Twitter group, my YouTube, I'll post it, my Discord, and then the 3 chats. Am I missing anything? Blue Sky? I don't think I have very many people over there. Okay. Well, I mean, there are some people that follow me there. Oh, fuck. I wonder if I should have that. Would you primarily follow my... No, never mind. Okay. Can you make a text post on Instagram? I don't think you can. I could do Blue Sky and Threads, I guess. Fuck it.
Wild accusation without evidence.
It's not. This
The
is their
CUAD did
statement.
not call October the 7th a victory,
It's
as far
in
as
their
I'm aware.
statement.
The CUAD has not called. The CUAD has not called October the 7th a victory.
Yes, they have.
It's
You'd have
called
to show me that
Columbia
quote. I've not
University
seen that quote. I don't believe-
Apartheid
No, I don't
Divest.
think they have.
That's what it's called.
They have, and
It's
I
called
will show
Yes,
you.
University
That's what
Apartheid
they
Divest.
campaign for.
And
they
another
have,
quote from them.
I actually know more
Again,
about this group than you do because they have Jewish members who have written for Zateo and they do support
wonderful
divestment,
for
Dan.
you.
They want to divest from the genocide that you
Okay,
support
but
and
here's
you
the
fund.
thing.
You
When
fund the
you
genocide
say-
in
when
Gaza.
you say-
They want to divest
when
from
you
it.
say
You want to
something-
demonize and
Just be
criminalize
quiet
them.
for a second. So Piers brought up that they
No,
were
this whole thing is
celebrated
about free
October
speech.
7th. I would actually agree.
I'm not
that
going to be
You can
quiet.
celebrate October 7th.
I'm not
I
a
think
green
it's
card holder,
disgusting.
Dan. You
But-
can't disappear me as well.
Will you be quiet? So I would agree that you can celebrate October 7th. I think you're
No, I'm
disgusting
not-
for it, but no, you can't be arrested.
You want everyone
but
to
when
be
you
quiet.
say
You want
something
silence.
like "We are Westerners fighting for the eradication of Western civilization," you are crossing the
That
line.
is not a
from
crime. That's free
into
speech.
incitement of
No,
you
Dad,
are
that's
confused
free
about
speech.
the law.
Are you
That is
kidding me?
Incitement of violence.
You've lost your mind if you think saying
eradication of our
you're
civilization
saying
is a violent
yes.
call.
Is a crime?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, call
it's
for
not.
violence is indeed a crime.
I don't agree with
Okay,
it, but
yes, it is.
free speech in this country
cannot
is a very
incite
broad definition. You
incitement
cannot
of
arrest
violence
people
is
for
an actual
speech crimes. And by the
law-breaking
way,
exercise.
there's no incitement of coming from the Republican Party, which
Calling
sent a
for
mob
the
to the Capitol
destruction
to
of the
attack people like you,
civilization?
and all those
Kind
people
of
were pardoned.
violence.
Dan,
What does
Dan,
destruction mean?
Spare
What
me
is
your
destruction?
phone.
Brandenburg. Somebody just say Brandenburg. We literally have a test, Brandenburg v. Ohio, that tests for whether or not something counts as incitement of violence.
Your party pardoned 1,500 domestic terrorists.
My party
Have you
didn't
condemned
pardon
that?
anyone.
I haven't heard you condemn Donald.
Oh, it was Donald Trump, not my party. Bro, you don't have a party besides Donald Trump.
My party didn't pardon
Yes,
anyone.
they did.
And you all supported it. Why are you... God, you're such a cock. Oh, my God. It's actually insane.
Supported Donald Trump.
They were. What are you even
Okay, will
talking
you
about?
condemn
Are
it
talking
now?
about
Will
the
you,
January 6th
will you
protesters?
condemn
What do you think he's talking about?
Donald Trump? Yes. Will
are
you
you talking
condemn?
about?
Will you condemn Donald Trump pardoning
For
violent
what?
terrorists?
What are you?
I tell you what, why don't we move?
Oh, and Piers won't even let him ask a fucking question to get an answer.
Why don't we?
Will you
Okay,
condemn
time out.
Donald
Time
Trump?
out. We've run out of time.
No.
We've run out of
Dan,
time.
will you condemn?
We've run out of time.
Will you condemn?
We've run out of time. Why don't we try and find?
the
Why don't we
pardoning of
try and
terrorists?
end on a point of agreement?
Will you condemn?
Why don't we
the
try
pardoning
and
of
end
terrorists?
with
Dan won't
something?
do it.
Why don't we
Dan
try and
won't condemn
end?
the January
Why
6th
don't we try and
prison.
end where you both
Everyone
agree
can hear
about
it.
something, right? Which is
They actually did violence, unlike Mahmoud Khalil, who did no violence.
I'm bringing it to an end, but I want to try and end on a point you may both agree about.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to use this. I'm going to take a picture of Funny for an Instagram story for this poll. 1 sec.
Which is Dan's ongoing spat with Tucker Carlson. Now, this began when there was you were caught off. You thought you were off camera, still on mic, saying he was the worst person. We've talked a lot on Twitter. If I ever meet him, I'm going to effing kill him. You then said, I think anyone seriously watching and being honest with themselves knows that was hyperbole. You said in private, and no, Tucker has nothing to worry about. I've absolutely no desire to harm him. And then Tucker went on a podcast with commentator Chris Josephs on his podcast, and he said this about you, Dan.
Tell us about my all-time favorite member of Congress, Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah. So He's a tough one. He's a hothead on Twitter now.
He's out of control.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's taken this stance a little bit.
Because I think his personal life is out of control.
Yeah, because he used to be like a right-wing darling. Like he was, with the Navy SEALs, I think early on. Again,
not with me. I always thought he was a freak and a warmonger.
Really? Yeah.
Weirdo, yeah. He's a freak and a warmonger weirdo, but yeah.
He's showing it now.
Dan, your response to being a freak, a warmonger, and a weirdo?
Yeah, well, this is typical for Tucker. Tucker has no actual substance, right? He's been attacking me since 2022, when he became obsessed with me. I live rent-free in that little mongrel's head. And people ask me all the time, like, why does he hate you? And I'm like, the fact that you can't answer that question is indicative of the fact that he has no actual substance. See, I can tell you why Mehi disagrees with me. I can tell you why Mehi doesn't like me. At least he has, I disagree with them all, but at least he has things that he disagrees with me on. Tucker never actually says anything. It's just insults. He'll use my war wound to insult me. He's a weird, bad guy. I mean, people should not be tricked by his supposed stance against the DC insider elites, right? Because he literally is that. I mean, what's on people should know, what's on the Hunter Biden laptops? What's funny? Emails from Tucker Carlson to Hunter Biden, asking Hunter Biden for help to get Tucker's son into Georgetown. Tucker's a silver spoon-fed trust fund baby, went to boarding school guy. It's just the epitome of the DC elites who pretends to fight against it in order to corner a market in the media. He's begged us to go on his show since that time. We said, look, how about a moderated debate? And he said, oh no, we're not going to do that. He's not, I don't think he's a very serious person. I think he used to be. Don't see that anymore, right? It's like I'm out of control on Twitter because every once in a while I respond harshly to lies told about me. Yeah, I just don't take it lying down. Yeah, that's me. No, I apologize to no one for it.
Well, the incredible thing about what you've just been saying is I saw Mehi repeatedly nodding in agreement. So we seem to have reached a point of agreement. Mehi.
I mean, I'll say two things very quickly. One is we heard Dan read out a quote from the CUAD, which I don't think is incitement to violence. And then I heard Piers read out a quote from Dan that sounded pretty violent, even though he says he was joking. But on Tucker Carlson, I can't disagree with Dan's assessment. One of the things that really drives me up the wall is this, and I know you had a very chummy sit down with him in Saudi Arabia, but he is the fake anti-establishment persona really does great with me.
Well, I like Tucker, and I enjoyed my ding-dong with him over in Saudi. It wasn't by any means a chummy sit-down. If you've watched particularly one that he aired on his channel, he came after me very strongly about Ukraine, and I gave it back with bells on, which is the part of debate. But we're all entitled to our views, both of Tucker and of Ukraine and of Donald Trump and of everything else.
Except Mahmoud Khalil, apparently.
And one of the reasons I like you guys coming on Uncensored is because you give me your uncensored views, and I appreciate it. So thank you for agreeing to the debate. I enjoyed it very much. 4 months on from their crushing defeat in the US election, Democrats remain deeply divided on what went wrong and how they can effectively oppose President Trump. Former Obama advisor Van Jones has a blunt diagnosis.
Offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then saying, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks.
Well, part of the problem is that a majority of voters rejected the whole ideology that goes with statements like this.
And it's the same problem that women face, is if you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. Mm-hmm. So when you come in and you say, oh, these are men, competing against women. You're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except be here. Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing.
Oh, Whoopi. That's Whoopi Goldberg explaining that it's feminist to allow men to compete against women because men just don't understand women's bodies. While interviewing Dylan Mulvaney, who was a man until several years ago, on International Women's Day. Sometimes I think we're living literally in a parody life. It's going to be a long road back to the White House if the Democrats continue down these pathways. Well, joining me now to discuss Democrat disarray and much more, Professor Nina Turner, former Democrat state senator for Ohio, wearing spectacular shades, I might add, and the host of Tommy Lahren is Fearless, on Outkick Tommy Laron. Well, welcome to both of you. Tommy, let me start with you. Does the whole idea of Dylan Mulvaney sitting there on The View...
Absolutely no trans issues. Did I do that story correctly? Does that link work? The link worked.